다르게도
Brace 3000.
Wow, yeah. Hey, much love and respect to everybody that's tuned in today. Um, I'm excited about today because just wanted to go over some information that I've gone over in the past, which is very important. I still get a lot of new people. I still get a lot of people trying to explain to me where the name America comes from, you know, talking about it's named after Europeans and all that stuff, and that we don't know the language and we're making up things. All right. So first of all, shout out to Bezo Breeze for some of the beats here for today. Thanks, brother. And thanks for everybody that's tuned in. You know, again, we're gonna go over. We're gonna show undeniable proof, undisputed. It's undisputed. It's not even a topic in people's conversation. It's undisputed. That's why they don't even bring it up. They lied to us, telling us it was named after Vespucci. You know, you guys just automatically got to understand one thing. That's the last name, right? Vespucci. So why didn't we get named after Vespucci land, right? Why would we be named after his first name, Amerigo, which is, you're going to see today, really Albert. Amerigo is really Albert. All right. Albert has nothing to do with Amaraca or Amaru. All right. Let me get a one, make sure you guys can hear me. All right. America's not named by no African or Afucarano, nothing. I hope you guys pay attention today. Again, if you come to give opinions and troll a little bit, you know, we just take, you know, I just, you know, hide you because we're here to learn today. And, you know, look at primary sources, look at real history, look at real investigation, not just some made up opinions, you know, add in narratives, you know, your beliefs, you know, adding your beliefs and narratives to our history, our indigenous history, you know, that's got to stop. That's really got to stop, man, because, you know, it's okay, you know, you had your fun, you know, yeah, Pan-African, this, all our lives, yeah, but no, credit is due, credit is due. All right, I'm going to show you today. Again, a lot of you never seen these presentations I've done before. So we're going to break them down today. We're going to go over them. You know, I'm going to go over them with you. All right. Let me just get the video going. All right.
Yes, Shalom, Amaru Khans. Hope everyone is doing well. Much love and respect to the real ones out there, the Amaru Khans. Yes, that's what we're going to be discussing in this video, the name America, right? And we're going to go into the true origin of this name. And I'm going to show you this is an indigenous name to Amaraca. Yes, Amaraca or Amerrique, America. And this is not named after Vespucci, all right? This continent, this land is not named after Vespucci, all right? So enough with the lies, all right? So let's begin right away. Hawa. All right, so before we begin the video and the topic, right, just want to, remind everybody who we're talking about when they're talking about this is an indigenous word. This is from indigenous people from this indigenous land here in Amaraca, Amaruca, America. All right, so these are the people that we're talking about. We're talking about the Aboriginals, right? The copper colored races of America, right? So, just to have a reference, all right? Seminoles, as you can see. All right, West Indians, all right? Look at this, a Chippewaquitic band of the Wampanoag. Look at that, Seminole women. Alright, Wampanoag. This is Fred Thomas and his wife Cora Thomas. Alright, you can see how they depict America always. So-called Negro, right? So it's not just Africa. Right? Nez Perce near Meepo, Pendleton, Oregon. Alright, we got American Indian and a white man. Look at the difference. Alright. And we have a Ute man, which Hakasa and his wife Apatwema, 1899. Alright, remember who they're showing in these tobacco ads and then who they're showing in these slave ads. It's the same people. It's American Indians, right? And we see the last so-called Wampanoag, they say is the last one that was alive. This is the picture of her. Alright. This is a Benaki Indian, an Abenaki Indian, a basket maker. This person has been identified as Caroline Tahamont Masta. Alright? And we already know what Walter Plecker did, right? How he switched native people to color, to Negro, and to white, black. Alright, how they reclassified your ancestors. And now they call you Negro, colored, African American. Alright, but remember, this is the main thing we're going to be talking about in this video. Alright, because the Americans or the Amarucans, they're not African. As you can see in this map called Atlas Novus Sive Tabulae Geographicae, very famous depiction of the so-called regions and races of the earth. All right, and you see on this right side how it has the 4 different corners, right? And you will see America right here, the top right, bottom right is Africa, and then you will see like Asia on this side, on the bottom left, and Europe. All right, so this is a close-up of America. You see him pointing at America. You see these are the Aboriginal people from this. This is how they depicted you in all the ancient old maps and all depictions, most of them before the 1800s. All right, because that was the truth. You are the Aboriginal, so-called African American. You are the indigenous person. You are the Amaru Khans. So that's why I want to show you about the word America. This is your land. This is your Amaru, your beloved land, Tamari, right? The land of the plum serpent. All right, Quetzalcoatl, Amaru, the snake dynasty, the Khans, the Nagas. You are the Nagas. All right, you are the copper-colored races of America, the Aborigines. All right. Big shout out, much love to Ab the Legend. Been teaching everyone for years. All right, respect.
Long before Europeans began making maps of the New World, the Native Americans called their land Amaracapana, or Amaraca for short, whereas the controversies concerning the discovery of America are well known. What is not well known is the controversy concerning the naming of America. In public school, we are erroneously taught that the Americas were named after Italian explorer and cartographer Amerigo Vespucci. The term America, we are told, is derived from the Latin version of Vespucci's first name, Americus. This fallacy was bolstered by one primary source, Waldseemüller's 1507 world map entitled Universalis Cosmographia, drafted by German cartographers Martin Waldseemüller and Matthias Ringmann. The map was the first to assign a name to the New World, America, which historians have proffered as proof that the continent was christened after Vespucci, since he held more firmly to the growing consensus that this was indeed a new world.
All right, so we begin with the book, which is called.
All right, all right. So I just wanted to say real quick before we get on with the sources, all right? So a lot of people got a lot of opinions in the chat, especially, some people want to add conjecture and their opinions and with no sources, they just make up things. They just make up things like they're little kids, like it's a make-believe land, But we're going to show some real historical facts, all right? And thank you, moderators. Yeah, make sure to keep them in check. Because if they interrupting and just adding conjecture and opinions and being disrespectful, trying to take our history and add their little narratives to it, do your thing. All right. So Kurimeo from 2-3 years ago is gonna let you know what you haven't researched. All right.
Spanish and Portuguese South America during the colonial period by Robert Grant Watson. Says editor of Maury's Handbook of Greece, 4th edition, and also author of a book called The History of Persia. So he's very.
All right, so basically this is what we read actually about Benzoni, and what he wrote was happening to the American indigenous population. All right, we got that video yesterday, how they were being treated, how they were being sold for wine, how they were being basically exterminated, abused, and overworked to the point where people were really literally dying just from the stress, from hunger, from overworking, and also they were, going after, these so-called rebels. They legally declared them rebels and they went, after them. All right, so again, we're not going to get this part right here. We're just going to go to the very next book to correlate, remember? And what we read yesterday, that Benzoni reached Amaracapana, as you can see on the screen right now. It says Amaracapana right here. Benzoni is the author who was originally responsible for the well-known story of Columbus and the egg. He states that while at Amaracapana, all right, we're going to get the whole history today of Amaracapana. All right, let me just get to the part. So again, get that video we dropped yesterday. All right, we want to get to the next sources. All right, here we go. All right, and just real quick, so Charles V, right? Let's not forget Charles V and who were the Inca, the Amarus, all right? Let's get this last part real quick.
Understand what he looked like? He was another brother, copper-colored, so-called Negro. This is just another more on more war, all right?
All right, as you can see, that's what I'm talking about. This is actually a real painting of Charles V and Atahualpa, the last Inca king, Atahualpa, who was unfortunately murdered by the same regiment, And as you can see, they're basically almost the same complexion. This is in the Larco Museum in Lima, Peru. They have this painting hanging. It's an Inca Emperor's King List and the first European Inca Emperor, Charles V, or Carlos Quinto. All right, Carlos Quinto.
In short, there seems to be very little room to doubt that the world has been misled through the complimentary notice of the Florentine bishop who claimed the New World was named after Vespucci. What many American historians fail to mention or realize is that Native Americans have always had their own name for the New World. Historian Alec Locker elucidates, children in America are taught that America came from Amerigo Vespucci, the Florentine mariner. Actually, the best evidence dating back to the earliest Spanish documents following Christopher Columbus shows that part of South America from Venezuela to Peru was called Amaraca by the Indians of that region. At least that is what the Spaniards understood. Various spellings of Amaraca occur in Spanish documents, beginning with the visit to that land by Alonso de Ojeda, with whom Vespucci sailed in 1499.
All right, so we're in the book right now called Personal Narrative of Travels to the Equinoctial Regions of America. All right, during the years 1799 and 1804. It says by Alexander von Humboldt and Aimé Bonpland. All right, if you don't know, well, if you have been following me, you know who Alexander von Humboldt is, a very renowned primary source, a very basically admired so-called scholar, right, from those times, right there that you see those years. And he was actually invited to many historical societies. All right, we're on page 176 of this book, and it says here, Humboldt says, it is distressing to think that even at this day there exist European colonists in the West Indies, who mark their slaves with a hot iron to know them again if they escape. All right, weren't we just reading about this? All right, Charles V marking his slaves with the Indians, right? The Indians with a hot iron. So who are we talking about still here? The 1700s. All right, this is the treatment bestowed on those who save other men, the labor of sowing, tilling, and reaping. All right, so let's see this little cross here. Let's go to that little footnote in the bottom real quick. All right, it says, see the little cross? All right, it says La Bruyère Caractères. All right, chapters 11, something, I guess is from a book, page 300. It says, I will here cite a passage strongly characteristic of Le Bruyère's benevolent feeling for his fellow creatures. It says, so he's quoting this guy, La Bruyère, from 1765. It says, we find under the torrid zone certain wild animals, male and female, scattered through the country, black, livid, and all over scorched by the sun, bent to the earth which they dig and turn up with invisible perseverance. They have something like an articulate utterance, and when they stand up on their feet, they exhibit a human face, and in fact, these creatures are men. All right, so you hear what this racist French, I guess he's French dude, is how he's describing the indigenous aboriginals of South America, of West Indies. Remember, he's talking about how they marked, put hot irons on these people. And he's explaining why, and he's showing you why this dude is a racist. He doesn't care. He sees them like animals. He's giving you an example of what he said, and I hope you saw what he said about how they look. All right, he said they're what? Black, livid, and all over scorched by the sun. He's talking about American Indians, so-called Negro, right? We're not talking about Africans in anywhere here. All right, so let's go back up real quick. All right, and continue where we were. Now it says, in 1800, the number of slaves did not exceed 6,000 in the two provinces of Cumana and Barcelona. We're talking about Indians. When at the same period, the whole population was estimated at 110,000 inhabitants. The trade in African slaves, which the laws of the Spanish have never favored, is almost as nothing. All right, listen to this. As nothing on these coasts where the trade in American slaves was carried on in the 16th century with desolating activity. All right, let me put that in a different words. He's telling you the trade in African slaves, right, which the laws of the Spaniards have never favored. They didn't really care to or really like to go grab Africans, really. It doesn't compare, it says. It's almost as nothing as what happened on these coasts, as nothing on these coasts where the trade in American slaves, we are talking about indigenous people, was carried on in the 16th century, what, 1500s, way before the so-called slave trade, right? With desolating activity. Continue, says Macarapan, anciently called Amaracapana. What? Macarapan, which was anciently called Amaracapana. It wasn't named by the Europeans or Spaniards. All right, this place, which we know as Macarapan, was anciently called Amaraca, Amaraca, Amaracan, Amaraca, America, Amaracapana. You understand? Amaracapana. Again, Macarapan, anciently called Amaracapana. Cumana, Araya, and particularly New Cadiz. Alright, so Macarapan, which was also known as Amaracapana or Cumana. If you see all these in the maps, Araya, these are the same place.
All right, so I just wanted to add to what Kurimeo back then is saying. Is yesterday we talked about New Cadiz, and in the video before that, the Pearl one. New Cadiz was established by Columbus' son. That was one of his settlements. He named it New Cadiz. Cadiz was a Moorish town. And so yeah, I remember that Columbus and these people were Sephardic crypto Jews. Muslim Moors, a lot of them too. All right. So remember, we already know the history about this area, Cubagua, Margarita Island. Remember, Margarita means pearl in Old Persian. Margarita means pearl in Old Persian. All right. So look at this is an old map showing you Margarita was already there. All these names, Amaracapana, Amaraca. We're gonna get so deep, today, so you guys can see how much evidence there is. All right. So we're just starting. Let's go.
Or New Cadiz. It says built on the inlet of Cubagua. Might then be considered as commercial establishments for facilitating the slave trade. What slave trade? The Indian slave trade. Girolamo Benzoni of Milan, who at the age of 22 visited Terra Firme, or South America, right, took part in some expeditions in 1542 to the coast of Bordones, Cariaco, and Paraya to carry off the unfortunate natives, all right, natives. All right, so now we're coming into this book, presented, it says here, to the University of Toronto Library, all right, by the Ontario Legislative Library. And the book is called Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America by Thomas de St. Brice, entered according to the Act of Congress in the year of 1888 by Thomas St. Brice in the office of the Librarian of Congress at Washington. Right of translation reserved, all right? And we're in the introduction, and it says, the object of this abridged popular edition is to present in a brief, clear, and simple style our discovery of the origin of the name of America, which came as unexpectedly as that of Columbus, while we were collecting from the old works of the Spanish historians. So while they were doing research in the real Spanish records, they were able to determine what was the origin of the name of America, right? The customs and histories of the Americans called Indians, all right? We're just talking about the copper-colored races, Americans, right? Remember? Copper-colored tribes of America, Aborigines, which they called Indians by mistake, in order to show their connection with Egypt. Whoa! So the Aboriginals of America and their connection with Egypt, all right? Where's the true ancient Egypt, all right? We're going to see the real name of ancient Egypt, what that name was. Tamer, all right? Of which a...
All right, so real quick, their connection with Egypt, right? Since more correlation, we already know was the true ancient, ancient Egypt. When we're talking about Egypt, is a Greek word, Temple of Ptah. It's not a specific location or landmass in Africa. It never was. All right, that would be conjecture. All right, so again, this is not me saying there's a connection with ancient Egypt here. All right, let's keep going.
Preliminary sketch was published in 1882, the connection, all right? We have attached a map to be kept in view while reading so that a perfect idea may be obtained of the places named by Columbus and of the geography of the age when America was discovered. Asia is placed in the position given to it by the first standard map of the world on which the Western Hemisphere appeared, and the Atlantic coast representing the early discoveries and settlements on this continent is taken from the first atlas, where the name of America is applied to its southern division, to which we have added the information obtained from a local chart showing the coast of Amaraca, the coast of Amaraca, America, Amaraca, and the kingdom of Kunding, Amaraca, the kingdom of Kunding, Amaraca. You hear all this? All right. University of Toronto. All right. The coast of Amaraca. All right, it was already here, this name, Amaraca, while the cities on the Pacific coast represent the extent of the kingdom of Amaraca, America, Amaraca, at the period of its conquest by Spain. Instead of referring to the numerous Spanish authors which we have consulted in order to show the importance of this empire, so they went through the research and they're not just referencing one person, they're telling you straight up right now, right, that they went through numerous Spanish authors which have consulted in order to show the importance of this empire, the kingdom of Amaraca, all right, the kingdom of the Amaru, Amaracans, Amarucans, the kingdom of the Amarucans, all right, which only bears indirectly on our subject. We have referred our readers to a most interesting work, where these scattered histories may be found collected. We speak of the well-known Prescott's History of the Conquest of Peru, a great nation. We got that book too, of which our notes only give a passing outline. We use the word king in its general sense instead of the native name of Inca, which has similar meaning, referring to exclude foreign words which tend to mystify history when an idea can be conveyed in our own. The kings of Amaraca or America, the kings of Amaraca or America, like the kings of England, Japan, the Mikado, Turkey, the Sultan, and Persia, the Shah, were the temporal and spiritual chiefs of their dominions. Nearly all the works we have examined are to be found at the Astor Library, which, with a valuable number of the American Geographical Society's maps and atlases, have been the principal means of throwing light on this subject of national interest. All right, you hearing this scholarly work? They're getting maps from the American Geographical Society. All right, they able to correlate all what they're saying about these kings of Amaraca or America, Amaraca, where Vespucci and Columbus landed, and that's why they went back with these stories of Amaraca or the kings and kingdoms of Amaraca, Amaracans, the Amarucans. All right. All right, so the book continues saying, the following are the principal authorities which have been consulted in this work. All right, so it gives all the references they're using for this article or book they wrote. It says Adam Etudis, all right, 6 languages Americanas, American Encyclopedia, all right, and so on and so on. All right, you can slow this down and, take a look at all the sources and verify for yourself. All right, because there's so many, I'm not going to name them all. Look at this.
Yeah, Kurimeo, there's a lot of sources, yo. So yeah, this is what the people who are practicing cognitive dissonance, don't want to look at. They're talking about, well, we don't go off those sources, Kurimeo. We don't go off those sources. We got our own scholars, and it's not the white man, and So I just want to say, truth has no color, right? So what sources are you using then? Because if you're not really using primary historical references or sources, a lot of these people don't just have agendas, they're just writing what they see. A lot of these books, you've never even read, you've never researched, so you don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, Kurimeo, show them all those sources that's in this book alone, just one little book alone that you're reading.
Garcilaso de la Vega, Commentaries on La Ferreira del Inca. We got that book. All right, so a lot of these books I actually already have. Herrera, I have that in Spanish. All right, Humboldt's History of the Peru. All right, we got all these. All right, so check it out. Look at all these sources. All right, so you want to call it pseudo, you want to say this is things I'm making up. All right, but there's a bigger truth that you can't handle. All right, so now we're in this book. It's called Watson's Jeffersonian Magazine. All right, from 1911, it says here. Look, 10 cents per copy, $1 per year if you just want to subscribe. It says the only magazine that stands for original democratic principles. Really? Again, Watson's Magazine. This is volume 13, number 5. All right. All right, so we're on page 406 of this magazine, and it says The Name of America by Alexander Del Mar. I look him up. All right, these are not just anybody writing these things. All right, so it says that the American continent derived its name from the Florentine merchant and geographer Amerigo Vespucci, and that thereby an injustice was done to Columbus is an impression which still retains a firm hold on the popular mind. Yet many proofs have been offered that before Columbus landed, listen to this, all right? Many proofs exist, my people, right? That before Columbus landed, right, the name America, the name America was found scattered over the southern continent from the Caribbean Sea to the Pacific Ocean and from the Maracaibo Gulf and Amaracapana coast, Amaracapana coast, the Amaraca, American, the Amaracapana coast, Amaru, Amara, Amaru coast near the Orinoco's outlet to the mountainous regions of Cox Amaraca around Bogota or Colombia, and over the heights of the Andes as far to the south as Peru. All right. So they use that word also in Peru, right? We know that. Amaru, right? Amaru. Ex-President Harrison added his influence to the popular impression with the remark that a continent should have been named for Columbus, thereby implying that it was in fact named for Vespucci. The only evidence to sustain this assumption is the letter of a Florentine bishop in which he writes rather boastfully, and well may our new world be named America, since its discovery was due to our eminent countryman Amerigo Vespucci, etc. On the other hand, the proofs that the country bore a title much nearer to America than Amerigo may be summarized in the following citations. Girolamo Benzoni, a Milanese, in his Historia del Mondo Novo, published at Venice in 1565, says in page 7 of the translation, the governor shortly after left Cumana, right? Remember, Cumana is just another name for Amaracapana, right? With all his company and coasting westward, went to Amaracapana. He went to where? Amaracapana. This was a town of about 40 houses, and 400 Spaniards resided there constantly, who annually elected a captain. All right. All right. So before we proceed, I just want to go verify this. All right. So let's go to the actual book written by Girolamo Benzoni. All right. So again, it's La Historia del Mundo Nuevo, or the History of the New World by Girolamo Benzoni. All right. And you saw the date, 1565. All right. Let's go to the page. All right. So we're on page 6 of this book. All right. Just want to show you. All right. Right here. Let me just zoom in. All right. Zoomed into page 6. We see the word right here, Amaracapana. All right. If you know Italian, you can verify this right now. Take a screenshot, pause it. All right, let's go back. All right, so we verified the source. All right. Humboldt and his Relations Historiques, a narrative of personal observations, chiefly in South America from 1799 to 1804. We just got that, right? We went to the source. That was the first book we read, volume 1, page 324, that the first settlement of the Spaniards on the mainland was Amaracapana. The coast between the Capes Paria and de la Vela appear under the names of Amaracapana and Maracapana in Codacio's map, all right, in Codacio's map of Venezuela, showing the voyages of Columbus and others, all right. It says Herrera in his History of the West Indies narrates the voyage of Ojeda, 1499, whom Amerigo Vespucci accompanied as a merchant, and says finally he arrived at a port where they saw a village on the shore called Maracaibo by the natives, which had 26 large houses of bell shape, built on pillars or supports with swinging bridges leading from one to another. And as this looked like Venice in appearance, he gave it that name. So that's what they saying to get the name Venezuela from the word Venice, which was subsequently adopted by the Republic of Venezuela.
All right. So real quick, I hope you guys are listening. So Venezuela, named after Venice. Where was the real Venice then, actually? Really? That's what you're going to tell us? So they named Venezuela after Venice, right? It looked like Venice, like rivers, people on boats and stuff. That sounds beautiful. All right. Also, I just want to point out Vespucci, right? Landed in a town, landed in a place, an indigenous place called Amaracapana. He landed there. It was already there before he got there. So how did he name it? We're going to get to who Amerigo Vespucci really was and what his real name was. We're going to get to that, all right, today. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's keep going.
simple sentence is conclusive proof that at the time Vespucci made his first landing in the western continent, the port he stopped at was called Amaracaibo, Amaraca, Amaracaibo, or America Land. All right, Amaracaibo or America Land. It was called America Land. Where Vespucci landed, it wasn't named after him. It was already called that. All right. Continuing says, Sir Walter Raleigh reached the same region in 1595. We know Walter Raleigh, right? One of the famous slavers. All right. And wrote.
And let me just add one of the more famous slavers, yeah, and it's actually De La Raleigh. Yeah, he was a crypto Jew. We got that drop in my Sephardic videos. If you guys haven't checked that out, yeah, Walter Raleigh, Francis Drake, these were all people of color. Let's go.
Of it as the beautiful valley of Amerricapana. All right, so when he arrived in this region, South America, Walter Raleigh called it the beautiful valley of Amerrica, Amerricapana, America. Sir Walter, also writing in 1596, describes one of the younger brothers of Atahualpa, the Inca of Peru, whom the Spaniards under Pizarro had slain, as taken thousands of the soldiers and nobles of Peru, and with these vanquishing all that tract and valley of America situated between the rivers Orinoco and Amazon. Besides this, the name given to the whole country between the coast of Amaraca, which stretched from the Orinoco River to Maracaibo, so add the A, Amaracaibo Bay, and thence to the whole country between Maracaibo Bay and the Pacific was called Amarca. All right, so again, it says that the whole country, which stretched from the Orinoco River to Maracaibo Bay and thence to the whole country between Maracaibo Bay and the Pacific, was called Amarca. Amarca, that whole land was called Amarca, while the whole country now known as Bogota and stretching down to Peru was called Caxamarca. Caxamarca. All right, you hear this? Along the heights of the Andes in this region, the name again appears in the capital city, which was also called Caxamaraca. Caxamaraca. In one of its nearby towns called Hult Amarca, and in the three other local names strewn to the southward along the Andes of Amarca and Catamarca. Down near the mouth of the river Cumana was Amaracapana, previously mentioned. While out in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Amaracapana was the large island of Amerrique. Look at this word. We're going to get into this word later on. Amerrique. All right, the island of Tamara, Tamari, Amerrique, Amaracan, Tamari. We're going to see what Tamara was. A Spanish mode of spelling the same word. Also, a name given to one of the gods, or one of the names given to the great spirit of the natives. Tamara. Wow.
Tamara, Tamari, Tamara, right? Tamar. Who did Judah marry? Tamar, right? Judah married Tamar, right? Tamari, the Egyptian, right? All right, so I see a lot of people in the chat talking about, vaccines and all that. So, we don't want to get shut down. We're here to learn. We know what's going on in the world. We hip. If you're here to troll and distract people, I'm just gonna hide you. So try to stay on topic. I don't mind discussion, but you guys are going somewhere else with it, and that's just going to create people to like argue and stuff, So, stay on topic, or we just, what is your point of being here if you're going to talk about something else? Why are you here? Are you here to troll? All right, so yeah, make sure to just hide them. Don't just time them out. If they continue to just talk about off-topic stuff and things that we already hip to, like we hip to that, all right? We're here to learn things that you don't know. You don't know this history, so pay attention.
Citations may be added the probability that had there been any intention to name the continent after Vespucci, his surname would have been used, all right? So he's saying, if they supposedly named the continent after Vespucci, they would have used his last name, which was Vespucci, so they would have called this what? Vespuccia land, whatever, but not his first name as what would be the norm, right? His surname would have been used so that the result would have been something like Vespucci. Instead, to be very little room to doubt that the world has been misled through the complimentary notice of the Florentine bishop. All right, the world has been misled. You've been misled. This is your indigenous word. All right, this is your indigenous vibration word. Amaraca, Amaru. All right, Amaru. There seems to be a law for the evolution of continental names from names of a divinity or of a small localities which throughout use by the persons first coming into contact with the continent at that point spread gradually over the whole. Thus Europa originally designated a small village in Thessaly, but as it lay to the west of the Bosphorus and the Hellespont, it must have been spoken of by Asiatic neighbors in a manner to facilitate its more extended application. Asia indicated originally a very small part of what is now Asia Minor, but
All right, so pay attention to this part. Is going to break down how, we got names of continents today, but they weren't always names of the whole continent. These names actually were small towns, small regions in the continent that eventually became the known as the whole continent. They're going to talk about Asia and Africa. Pay attention to the African part because Africa, it was a Roman colony in Tunisia. It wasn't the whole, continent, just like Asia. So, listen to this part right here.
the dividing line. Africa meant originally only that small part of the continent lying around Carthage and with which the Romans came in contact. It was much less extended than Libya. Egypt was the name by which the Greeks knew a small seaport town near the mouth of the Nile, and bears no resemblance to the name the Black Country, by which the ancient Egyptians designated their own land. All right, we're gonna get into this. Trust me, we're gonna get into the real ancient name of Egypt, because right here they just dropped some jewels on us right here, right now. All right, so this word, this Greek word for Egypt, you know, does not mean the black country or Kemet, right? Rich soil, black soil. It does not mean that. It's telling you right now. All right, it was a small port town off the Nile. So they're telling you that just like this small town that the Spaniards were encountering in South America named Amaraca, the whole continent became America. Just like Europe, they told you was a small town as well, and it became the whole continent. And Asia was a small part, which became the whole continent. Just like Africa is telling you right here, all right, was only a small part of the continent lying around Carthage. All right, it wasn't the whole continent, it didn't even exist. All right, the name China spread from a pretty mountain region on the borders of India because it was there that Europeans first came into any considerable contact with the empire, and it was by European nations that the name came to be obtruded on a nation which knew itself only as the Middle Kingdom. This shows that it is by the spread of local names indigenous to a small region that large regions are named. All right, so there again, discovery of the origin of the name of America. What led to the discovery of America? And it starts talking about, Mateo Polo, which is, I believe, Marco Polo's dad, and his story and how they went looking for the Grand Khan. And basically, they're letting you know it's kind of like he basically came over here. Marco Polo was over here. But let's get to the part where we're talking about the name. All right, so let's take a look at this map real quick. It's very interesting. All right, so you got La Florida right here, right? Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic. All right, Jamaica. You got, check it out. So then you got Chipango. All right, this is one of the mythical Chipango that Marco Polo went to. Chipango, Catay. Look at Catay. All right, and then you got Amaraca right here. Amaraca over Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. We got Central America right here. Yucatan, Veragua, which is part of Panama and Costa Rica. And then we got South America over here. Look at this, and it says Amarca or Cax Amaraca. Cax Amaraca, Andamarca, look at that. And Amaraca, Catamarca. You see this? Alright, look at this map. Golden Castle Mountains, Cartagena, Santa Margarita, Tamaracqua, look at this. Tamaracqua, 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 Hawa, Tamaracqua, Caxamaraca, and Cusco, Titicaca, look at that. All right, and we're on page 35 of this book. It says, the illustrious national sacred name of the greater portion of the southern continent, including that part first discovered by Columbus, was America, which appeared on early maps as an appropriate honor to the great navigator who had made the discovery. This was, however, only an additional acknowledgement of gratitude, which the world owed to him. They had previously made him admiral and viceroy of the West Indies, named the Columbian Archipelago, in the Columbian Sea. He was authorized to use the royal arms of Spain on armorials granted to him, the islands first discovered being represented on it, one of which was called Montserrato, after his birthplace. On the earliest standard maps showing the Western Hemisphere, the Spanish colonists adopted the native name of America. Again, you saw all the sources, right? In the beginning? Again, the Spanish colonists adopted the native name of America. They were here before all these Italian navigators, Vespucci especially, all right? They already had this name here when they arrived. As soon as Columbus, right? Columbus is supposed to be the first one, right? As soon as Columbus got here, this place was already called Amaraca, remember? All right, so again, the Spanish colonists adopted the native name of America to designate their first settlement on the mainland, of the New World. But in those days, the rules of orthography were undefined, and in addition to the numerous errors of printing, names were spelled in any way which the writer considered most appropriate. And hence we have America, all right? So that's how they're saying it transformed to what we know now today as America, or America, not only written Amaraca, all right? So depending on who's writing it, where that person, his language, where he knows how to, translate certain words, it could be Italian, French, whatever, Arab, whatever. But whoever is saying it has a different way of how they said it, right? So that's what they're trying to show. So again, it has written Amaraca, Amerioco, and Amerioca, America, look at that, Amerioca, Maraca, Moraca, and America. But they added the native word Pana, which Sir Walter Raleigh explains meant an equivalent of country. And in Codice's map, the name applying to the seashore is coast of Amaracapana. All right, so Pana, again, at the end just meant country or land. So when they were saying Amaracapana, it was the land of Amaraca, the land of America, the country of Amaraca. So is the
All right. So real quick, I hope you guys are paying attention. All right, this is a native word. This is an indigenous word. It was here when the Sephardic Jews, the crypto Jews, with the crypto Muslims, and then the Catholics, it was here already when they got here, and they adopted that word. We're gonna break down who Vespucci was. All right, I just want to let everybody know, you guys really got to get to know me. For those of you who still think that I would go waste my time with little children and debate little children that has no sources, what do you want me to debate them? They have no sources. What do you want? That's not a debate. And that's not a real debate. A debate is where you got judges, where people can actually qualify the information, not little kids screaming and being disrespectful. That's not a debate. That's entertainment. And I understand you guys like entertainment. It's YouTube. I know you guys like blogs, entertainment, and people doing their the podcasts and all that. That's all good. This is not the right channel for that. I'm not that. That's not me. I'm the real one right here. I got real information. Why would I step down? Why would I go down levels to go It's like Tyson trying to fight one of the Logan brothers in his prime. I'm being serious. It's like Tyson trying to go fight some of the Logan brothers in his prime. That's comedy. That's entertainment. All right? Leave these people alone. I understand you guys like entertainment. That's why you're still watching these fools. I don't even know that dude that you guys are mentioning, right? He supposedly debunked me, right? He showed one little video, like it didn't even make sense, right? He didn't even show part 1 or 2, because that was part 3 of the origin of the name America. He didn't show none of this information. He don't know none of this information. They don't know none of this stuff. All right. So stop following people. I understand if you want to be entertained. All right, fine. Be entertained. Go over there and be entertained. That's entertainment. That's not scholarly research. That's not building. That's hate. That's religious beliefs. When you're stuck on something religiously like that without any proof, that's just like any Christian or anybody in any kind of religion, right? That's just a belief. That's a belief. All right. We're going to continue. I'm going to show you Amaru was a settlement here in America. Amaru. Continue. We're going to stay on topic and stop talking about these descendants of Neanderthals, because that's who they said they were descended from. Straight up in the live I went with them. They told me right up, that's my ancestor right there. They said it. All right. I didn't say it. Stop wasting your time with that unless you want to be entertained. Are you not entertained? All right, let's keep going. I'm here to teach I'm giving a presentation. It's different.
A record of a Spanish settlement named Amaruca. All right, I was able to find at least one source basically recording this. I'm in this book called The Geographical and Historical Dictionary of America and the West Indies, containing the entire translation of the Spanish work of Colonel Don Antonio de Alcedo. All right, Volume 1, 1812. All right, we're going to go and we go to page 39 of this book. And right here it says Amaruca, 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 right? The land of the plum serpent, Amaruca, a settlement of the province of Guyana and government of Cumana. So they took the indigenous
Amaruca, right? A settlement here in Guyana, in the province of Guyana, Guinea. How did you really spell Guyana before the Y? Where's the real Gold Coast? Amaru, the land of Amaru Khan, right? Where they were actually making all these indigenous people die for pearls and enslaving them. What happened here? What happened in this area that was known as Amaruca? Amaruca.
name, and they just settled it and just left it as it was called already. Amaruca, the land of Amaracapana, right? Amaruca, a settlement of the province of Guyana and government of Cumana, one of those belonging to the missions held there by the Catalanians, Capuchin fathers. It lies south of the city of Santo Tomas. All right, Amaruca was a real place. All right, a real Spanish settlement. All right. All right, we're reading from this book. It's called A Collection of Voyages and Travels, consisting of authentic writers in our own tongue, which have not before been collected in English or have only been abridged in other collections. All right, and it's a long explanation here. It says, compiled from the curious and valuable library of the late Earl of Oxford. All right, so quickly, we're in page 752 of this book. And we're just going to belly flop to this part of the book real quick. It says on the 6th day, now they're talking about the account of Walter Raleigh, right, when he got to this part of the world, Venezuela, Guyana, all right. And it says on the 6th day, they came and stayed at the port of Morequito, that was an Inca chief, where he was kindly entertained and informed concerning the state of those parts from Topi Owari, Lord of Aromaya. Look at the word Aromaya, Maya, with a Y or I is Maya, and uncle to the aforesaid Morequito. All right. The information he received from him was that all the regions thereabout, even to Emeria, look at this, Emeria, Samaria, Emeria, Ameria. Come on, look at how close that is. Samaria were called Guyana, though yet the inhabitants were called Oronoki Poni. Whoa, Poni? It's a pony? Oronoki Poni. As far as the mountains of Wakarima, which they might.
All right, so real quick. All right, I want to point something out talking about these fools, right? So they did a live, I guess. I didn't pay attention. People kept trying to tell me to go on. Again, I'm not wasting my time with that. They just want views and clout. I'm not giving it to them. I gave them already enough. All right. I appreciate their time, the time they gave me on their that fiasco, that bogus platform, which is just about money bags. It's all about money bag. They ain't teaching you nothing there. So what did I read here? It says even to America, right? This is in South America, right? Where it called Guyana, right? America, where it called Guyana, America, right? Now let me show you something they were trying to point out to supposedly debunk me. So this is one of the things that clown was pointing out. You know, I'm not even saying his name because he's a clown. All right. So this is what he was saying that I was making thing up because I was reading Egypt was named area. And I said, oh, look, it sounds like Ameria, right? Just add an M. It's one word difference. He wouldn't understand those things. You know, when we're talking about languages changing and people changing words around and stuff and letters going here, missing and adding letters here and there after it changes languages. I was just giving a point and a suggestion there and an opinion at that moment, right? So that's all you had to debunk me. That's all you had to debunk me. Area, area, because I said just add an M. And that's America, and this is part 3 of the origin of the name America. This is not even part 1 or 2. You skipped over 4 or 5 hours. You skipped over 4 or 5 hours, and you're showing this, and because you think you had something. That's why I'm gonna call you Mr. Fantastic, actually, for reaching so much. For reaching. Let's go back again. Area, right? He says I was making it up. Egypt was named Area, right? Let's go back. I just read something to you guys. All right. What does it say here? The information he received from him was that all the regions thereabout, even to Emeria or Ameria, area, were called Guyana. Though yet the inhabitants were called Oronoki. We're talking about America, we're talking about the real ancient Egypt. All right, clown? All right, clown.
From thence behold afar off in the continent, beyond which he told them the large valley of Amaracapana, Amario, Amarica, Amarioca, Amarioca, Amaracapana did lie. The large valley of Amaracapana. All right, so this is what he was saying about Walter Raleigh calling the beautiful valley of Amaracapana, whose inhabitants were called the Guianians, and that into the provinces which lie beyond these more to the south there came some years since multitudes of people called Oriones and Epureme, who possessed themselves thereof, having driven the natives out of their ancient inheritances. The Baron de Humboldt spent several years in this part of America, 1799 to 1804. We got that right already. Humboldt, Alexander de Humboldt, and wrote 3 volumes containing nearly 7,000 pages of modern size. The object of his visit was to study the nation, and we need hardly refer to his rare erudition to be found in this beautiful work, which treats of nearly every subject. From him we learned that the first settlement of the Spaniards on the mainland was Amaracapana. Again, Humboldt, they're reminding us what Humboldt, a very renowned primary source, a scholar, invited to all the historical societies in a lot of countries in Europe and America, right? He's telling us that the first settlement of the Spaniards on the mainland was Amaracapana, or the country of Amaraca, the land of Amaraca, which with Cumana and Cumbagua, both adjoining it, were the chief places of the African slave trade, so frightfully active there in the 16th century until stopped by the Emperor Charles V. All right, so dodge the hijack with the African slave.
All right, and I'm now that we got a more clear perspective, I want to add, because we saw my recent videos, right? Who was in Cubagua, pearl diving? Who was being enslaved, really? Who were they bringing on the ships? Remember the Lucayans? Remember the Caribs? Remember the Arawaks and everybody else that was in Hispaniola and in Guyana and Suriname and all these places? Indigenous people they were. All right, so Dodge the hijack. Again, this book right here, he's going off on out of Africa theory. He still thinks, whoever wrote this is still assuming that all those people were so-called. He hasn't studied the actual slave trade. He hasn't studied it. When you actually study, you see that the actual people they had on these boats and ships were indigenous people. They never went on a voyage over there. They never recorded going to West Africa. They recorded all their voyages, and they were all over here, and they wrote what they were doing. There's first primary sources writing who they were enslaving. We got it. Check out my last 3 or 4 videos if you don't have the drop, if you've never researched it, all right? Get over your feelings, all right? Charles V was a swarthy man too. More on more war. Let's go.
All right. The immense quantity of pearls first attracted the attention of Columbus and the Spanish pioneers who followed him, all of whom spoke of it as the Pearl Coast. I remember that the supposed first slaves that were, or Africans that were taken, or a so-called Negro that was put into slavery in an American colony in, I believe, Bermuda or Barbados, was pearl divers, right? They went to get from this region of Amaraca, right? This is the Pearl Coast. Remember, these were Indians, all right?
All right, the Pearl Coast. Where was the Pearl Coast again? You guys already know this information, right? You guys saw my last couple videos. Who were they using to dive for pearls? Where was the so-called blacks really coming from? The Bahamas, the Lucayans, and Hispaniola. They brought over, right? Because they were decimating the local population. They overworked them, so they had to go get more, and they didn't go to Africa to get them. They went to the Lucayans, the Bahamas, and they brought 40,000 of them. Remember, we already read this in primary sources. All right, people from those times writing about what they were seeing. All right. And I hope hope we don't got no trolls in the house, because you get erased, you get deleted right away. So don't even do it to yourself, because you're gonna have to create a lot of different accounts. That would be childish of you.
Which was on the low shore between the Capes Paria and the La Vela, appearing under the names of coast of Amaracapana, or properly Amaracapana, Amaraca, Amaracapana, America, the land, Panama, the land of Amaraca, and Pearl Coast and the Pearl Coast, both covering equally the entire shore in Codazzi's map of Venezuela, showing the voyages of the admiral and others. The name Maracapan was written on the early Spanish maps in red, which indicated the places first discovered by Columbus. All right, this is where Columbus landed, in Amaraca, the land of Amaraca, Amaraca. All right, now we're in this book. It's called Ancient Explorers of America, from the Ice Age to Columbus. All right, this is the cover of the book, and it's written by Alec Locker. All right, and it says here, another possible origin of the name America. Children in America are taught that America came from Amerigo Vespucci, the Florentine mariner. Actually, the best evidence dating back to the earliest Spanish documents following Christopher Columbus shows that part of South America, from Venezuela to Peru, all right, from Venezuela to Peru, was called Amaraca. All right, that region already was called Amaraca. This was an indigenous word, right? America, Amaraca, America, Amaraca, Amaraca, by the Indians of the region. Again, it was called Amaraca by the Indians of that region. All right, Guyana, all right, we know who was there originally, indigenously. At least that's what the Spaniards understood. Various spellings of Amaraca occur in Spanish documents, beginning with the visit to that land by Alonso de Ojeda. All right, we got accounts of him, with whom Vespucci sailed in 1499. Ojeda reported that he received friendly treatment at the hands of the Indians of Amaracapana. Amaracapana was also written as Amaracapana. All right, so whenever you see Amaracapana, all right, like in this map right here, you'll see it right here, Amaracapana. It was also written as Amaraca, Amaraca, America, Amaracapana. So Vespucci, Columbus, all these people landed in this region called Amaraca. And they had so much gold and pearls and everything that were coming out of there. They were going back to Spain with all these stories and all this, you know, how there's so many fruits, gold everywhere, there's pearls, all right? El Dorado, you know, the legendary city of El Dorado, there was legends around there. They found an Inca emperor, a brother of Atahualpa. I had fled there with other soldiers and was living there in Manoa. All right, in this region called Amaraca, America, Amaracapana, the place where Columbus landed, all right, during his voyage past Trinidad and the Orinoco River. All right, when Columbus got to the Orinoco, you know, he was like, oh, this is the Gishon. This is coming from the earthly paradise. He thought he was at the Gishon, one of the four rivers of Eden. All right. We already got that in past videos, right? Apparently, the Indians called the general area Amaraca, and Pana meant country, all right, or region. So the region of America, that's what they were calling it. Panama is close by, very close by to Colombian Venezuela, Panama. Amaraca, the region called Amaraca. So they landed in Amaraca. You understand? They landed in Amaraca. Later visitors to the western regions of South America found that the Incas called their region Amaruca, and various subdivisions of Amaruca or Amarucan, priest king, were identified by prefixes such as Kunding Amaraca, or and Amaraca. You're going to see that a lot, this Kunding Amaraca with the Incas. Subsequent spellings included the variant America. It seems plausible that while the Semüller labeled that area of the New World America, not in honor of Amerigo Vespucci, and so they're talking about this famous map in 1507 that has the word America right on South America. It's a little piece of South America too. They don't even know what it, well, according to that map, they didn't know what it looked like, the whole of South America. All right. But they have the word America in it, and it says that, you know, they're saying right here, because we know that this region was called Amaraca, the region of America. All right. It seems plausible that Walden Semüller labeled that area of the New World America, not in honor of Amerigo Vespucci, but following the Spanish name derived from what the Indians called that part of the world, America, Amaraca. Thus, like so many places.
All right. That map was made not because of Amerigo, but because the indigenous population, the local population, the indigenous people had already called that land Amaru. The Incas, what did they call it? Amaruca, land of the plum serpent, land of the Holy Cross. We're about to get that. All right, let's keep going.
Names in America, the continental name also derives from an Indian word. All right, so like so many places in America, the continent, the name the continent was given derived from this word Amaraca, an Indian word, not the name of Vespucci. All right, so we continue in the book Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America by Thomas de Saint Brice. We're in page 43, and it says, there was an abundance of fruit, flowers, and beautiful birds in this charming place. All right, so remember where they're landing, right? They're landing in the land of Amaraca, the land or Amaraca or Amaracapana, right? And this is the journey that Ojeda, the Spaniard, took with his Italian merchant, which was Vespucci, Alberigo Vespucci, not Amerigo. We're gonna see that. All right. So this is basically the route that Columbus took as well. This is the part that Columbus landed into. He landed in Amaraca, the land of Amaraca. All right. This is in South America, and you can see this is paradise. Remember, Columbus said that when he reached the Orinoco, he said it had to have been coming from the earthly paradise, one of the four rivers. All right.
So what I'm talking about right now is I'm actually showing a screenshot of another book, right? Where this is from Columbus's journals on his third voyage or fourth voyage to the New World when he reached South America. When he got to the mouth of the Orinoco, he said it has to be coming from the earthly paradise. This river, he was persuaded, must be rushing down from the summit of the earth, They're talking about Mount Roraima, which was an ancient tree where the Lord had planted the earthly paradise. All right. That was from Columbus' own word about the Orinoco River. All right, we're going to keep going.
It says again, there was an abundance of fruit, flowers, and beautiful birds in this charming place. But they were determined to find some gulf where fresh water was to be had, and left Paria for the isle of Margarita, where Ojeda landed and coasted from place to place. This shore had already been discovered by the admiral, all right, that's Columbus, who knew the ground and mountain ridges well. In fact, all of this discovery was due to him, as it was from the beginning declared to the king, and yet Ojeda went all along this coast, trading for gold and pearls, the Gold Coast, Pearl Coast. From Margarita, he went to Cumana. Remember that Amaracapana, these two names, the ancient name of these two places was Amaraca, Amaraca, which is 270 miles from the island, with towns all along the seacoast. After leaving Cumana, they entered a large gulf, which was surrounded by a thickly populated country. But a river flowed into it, bringing an infinite number of what the Spaniards call lizards, and the Indians caimanes, but which are really the crocodiles of the Nile. These are really the crocodiles of the real Nile,
All
according
right.
to the most reliable information. And this being unfavorable for the ships, they anchored in Amaracapana or Amaraca, Amaraca, and were well received and served as if they were angels by the great number of people of this district. We discharged the ship's cargoes and repaired them. Aided by the inhabitants, we remained here 36 days. And all this time, the Indians treated us to their bread, venison, fish, and the food was so good. The food was so good that these Indians had, that ever after, when we could not get it, we wished to return home. Wow. All right, so always, the ancestors were helping these Europeans. We were being humble, we were being kind, showing them love, and you know what they did. All right. Continues a little bit ahead. It says, we find from the foregoing history that after searching the entire coast, we're talking about the coast of South America, the only place where they found a safe harbor, fresh water, good food, and hospitality was Amaraca. So the land of Amaraca. You understand what's going on, right? The land, this beautiful land of Amaraca. Amaraca, right? Where there was gold, pearls, hospitable natives, indigenous people that were treating them kindly. There was fresh water, great food, good tasting food, great food. Right? This is paradise. Amaraca, Amaraca, America, Amaraca, which probably accounts for its having been the first settlement on the mainland according to Baron de Humboldt. The excitement continued unabated in Spain, where several expeditions were spoken of. The gold and pearls sent by Columbus, which he had collected on the coast of Amaracapana. All right, so Columbus brought back some gold and pearls. He was showing it off over there in Europe and Spain. They were like, wow, where'd you get that? He was like, I got that in Amaraca. What do you mean, Amaraca? Yeah, I got that in Amaraca.
Yeah, America.
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 Amaraca.
Yep.
You understand this name was already here.
Yep.
A land he landed. And Columbus, this was a native word. All right, the people already were calling this Amaraca, all right? Had caused the greatest curiosity, and John Rodriguez de Fonseca, who had been appointed by the crown receiver of applications for passports and given the map of the coast, which was sent by the admiral to the government, was besieged by navigators who wished to see the chart of the country where these treasures had been collected. All right, so it became a legend, this land of America, Amaraca. All right, continuing, says Nina and Guerra sailed for America a month after Ojeda, navigating as he did with a copy of the admiral's map, and arrived on the coast of Amaracapana, or the country or the land of Amaraca, a few days after he had sailed.
All right. So real quick, shout out to Drop Nation. Shout out to 432 the Drop Radio and Drop Nation, all the Dracons in the chat. Just want to mention real quick, again, let's not forget when they're talking about Nina, Guerra, Ojeda, all these people, a lot of them were colored people. They were Sephardic and Moorish people. Who was the real navigators mooring the ships? Who was the one building ships? Who made maps? The cartographers? These were all these kind of people. That's just want to make sure you guys don't forget that. All right, we're not just talking about light-skinned so-called white people. All right, it's a deeper history. All right, it's okay. We don't control the past. We're just a product of it. But we're just here to learn. Know thyself truly. Know thyself truly.
As returned to Spain, he reported the arrival of English vessels and got permission, 1501, to colonize and govern at his own expense the island of Coquibacoa. The place, however, as shown on our map, was a small isthmus and not an isle. He induced Juan de Vergara and Garcia de Ocampo to join him and provide the money. They sailed in 1502 and reaching the Gulf of Paria, traded along the coast of Amaracapana, all right, until coming to some cultivated land in a beautiful valley which was so named by Ojeda and also spoken of as famed by Columbus. All right, these people were just falling in love with this place. It became a legend, it became a paradise to them, El Dorado. All right, it is today in the province of Barcelona, formerly the port of Amaracapana. All right, so it's not in Spain they're talking about there's a port today called Barcelona, I guess in this region or in Venezuela or wherever they are right here in Guyana. All right, but it was Amaracapana, the port of Amaracapana, the land of America, for which the pioneers sailed, and is no doubt the place referred to by Sir Walter Raleigh as the beautiful valley of Amerrique, America. Remove the O, what you get? America, America, the beautiful valley of America, seizing whatever they wanted here, while Vergara sailed to Jamaica for provisions. Continuing in the book, Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America. All right, so this part of the book is talking about who they met and encountered, Ojeda and these Vespucci and Walter Raleigh. And they encountered an emperor, they call him, or a chief, right, a cacique. And this is what they say about him. It says, but because there arise many doubts in how this empire is become so populous and adorned with so many great cities, towns, temples, and treasures, I thought good to make it known that the emperor now reigning is descended from these magnificent princes of Peru. Right? It's talking about he's an Inca, of whose large territories, of whose policies, conquests, edifices, and riches, many have written large discourses. For when the Spaniards conquered the said empire of Peru, and had put to death Atahualpa, I believe the saying, which had formerly caused his elder brother, Huascar, to be slain, one of his younger brothers fled out of Peru. So they're saying that this emperor that was here in Venezuela, right in Amaraca, with all this greatness and treasures and great cities, all right, it was an Inca emperor that had come, the brother of Atahualpa, all right, who had fled out of Peru and took with him many thousands of those soldiers of the empire called Orellones, or noblemen, Orion, noblemen, that's what it means, noblemen. And with these and many others which followed him, he vanquished all that tract and valley of America, and it says, see the footnote 3, situated between the rivers Orinoco and Amazon. All right, so over here it says number 1, the footnote, and it says Atahualpa, right? You see that? Atahualpa. All right, so number 3, the footnote, let me just read that real quick. It says, in Sir Robert Schomburg's map, attached to Raleigh's work, the valley of Amerricapana is between the rivers referred to. All right, so it's not that he said the Valley of America. It wasn't spelled that way. It was spelled Amerricapa. But the name America was given to the mainland from Amaraca. All right, you hear this? But the name America was given to the mainland from Amaraca or America, the first Spanish settlement, whose people treated them as if they were angels, while others attacked them. Many authors, unaware that America was the national name of the southern continent, could not understand the Spanish pioneers who gave this name to several places on the coast, and cartographers hotly disputed the question as to which was correct, without finding that they all were. The coast which Navarrete says Columbus first visited is the Valley of America of Raleigh. And we're talking about the Amaraca, the Valley of Amaraca. All right? Purchase edition in 1614, page 836, which quotes Ladius, Stadius, and others, says that the Brazilians have a maraca or tamaraca. Tamaraca. You see this? Tamaraca. This is important. Tamarac. And you see in Nicaragua, we're going to read about the Amarrique, Tamaraca, and Tamara. What is the name of ancient Egypt? Do you know? I'm going to show you, which is their household god. On the same page, he refers to Vespucci's voyage to Brazil. The map of 1508 places the isle of Tamaragua. Look at that, Tamaragua, Hawa, thousands of miles away from Brazil, on the coast of Amaracapana. Continuing in the footnote, it says, in the map of St. Dye, where the proposition emanated to call America after Vespucci, an isle is placed beside Tamaragua. named isle of Brazil. We observe on modern maps the isle of Maraca near the mouth of the Amazon in Brazil. This is circumstantial evidence that Saint Dai people, who got their information from Vespucci, had heard of the port of Amaracapana, Amaracapana, where Ojeda was so hospitably received when Vespucci was with him, and also of the Maraca or Amaraca. Listen to this. Also the Maraca or Amaraca of Brazil. Amaraca, America, Amaraca of Brazil. And so they placed the island of Amaraca in Brazil on the coast of Amaracapana. And it was evidently this similarity of name with Amerigo, called Morigo by Ojeda, that led them to suppose that the name came from him. But we're going to see his real name is not even Amerigo, it's Alberigo. All right? We're going to see that, and that means Albert. The Ptolemy map of 1524 places the supposed isle of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean, nearer to England than America, which name appears on the continent in the same latitude and longitude as Aymarca. You see that? That name, Aymarca, Amaraca, Aymarca. They knew about America. Aymarca, Amaraca, Amaru. All right, we're gonna see what this leads to. They're gonna know. All right, it's gonna lead to priest kings, the Khans. All right, so Ptolemy's map has Aymarca. The same evidence occurs in Ptolemy's in 1535. The name of the Brazilian god Tamaraca, Tamaraca, explains the proximity of the isles of Brazil and Tamaragua in the Saint Dai map of 1513. The prophets of the Brazilians were the Caribs, whose god was Hua Amaracan, Hua Amaracan, Hua Amaracan, Ahua, Awa, Hawa, Hua, Ahua, Hawa, Amaracan. The Ptolemy map of 1540 states that the New World is called Brazil and America, and they also place it in the latitude and longitude of the native district of Ayamaraca, Amaraca. Then comes Mercator next year, who places the name of America over the entire continent. So eventually this name, right, this valley, this place, this region was so popular, Amaraca, it was being it was being brought back by many explorers and Europeans, and eventually became the name of the entire continent. All right, America is Amaraca, the land of Amaraca. All right, continuing in the book, Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America. All right, this very scholarly book with all the sources it has. It says the Golden Castles Mountains, on the coast of Amaraca, the first Spanish settlement in the Western Hemisphere. The very first one was in Amaraca. All right, it says down here, the territory of Ojeda was to the east of the Gulf, to be known as New Andalusia, after a Spanish province, while Nicuesa had the western side, which for the first time appeared under the name of Golden Castles, on the coast of Amaraca. Alright, this is found in the Codazzi map in the Humboldt's Relations Historiques in Volume 1. Alright, in the fertile island of Jamaica.
All right, Golden Castles on the coast of Amaraca. Guess where that was? On the fertile island of Jamaica. What? Golden Castles. Okay, let's go.
Again, on the coast of Amaraca or America. Alright, and the fertile island of Jamaica was to be the joint granary. The fertile, very fertile island of Jamaica. It says here, Pizarro related everywhere the wonderful stories of the Golden Land. During this visit, all right, the Golden Land, the Gold Coast, Guyana, Guinea, come on. And they were repeated throughout the dominions of his sovereign, the King of Spain and Emperor of Germany, one of whose friends, the great German mercantile house of Belsers, got authority during the year that Pizarro had returned, to found cities and to mine in the mountains called Golden Castles, the mountains called Golden Castles on the coast of Amaraca, Amaracapana, the land, the country of Amaraca. Their people, landing in the Orinoco, as Sir Walter Raleigh had done, settled at Amaracapana, from which place the German Federman led an expedition to Bogota in search of its treasures in 1534. while another marched across the Andes commanded by Quisada from Quito on the Pacific, and a third under the Spanish governor of Popoyan, all of whom accidentally met there. But they did not find the gold, though Quisada sent expedition after expedition for years in search of it. Fetterman returned to his district of which Sir Walter Raleigh speaks. Beyond us lay another town, towards the south, in the valley of Amerrique, which bears the name of the said valley. That is the name of that valley, all right, Amerricapana, whose plains stretch themselves some 60 miles in length, east and west, as fair ground, and as beautiful fields as any man has ever seen, with diverse copses scattered here and there by the riverside, and all as full of deer as any forest or park in England, and every lake and river the like abundance of fish and fowl, of which Ira Para Gota is Lord. Alright, so this is a paradise, this valley of Amaraca, America, this valley. Alright. Pizarro arriving again crossed over to Panama and returned January 1531 to Tumbes, where they remained 5 months before marching to Casa Amaraca, the capital of the empire. What are they talking about? Casa, they're talking about Cusco. Remember Cusco? Their empire was called also something like Cuxca Amaraca. We have here Casa Amaraca, the capital of the empire. We know Pizarro was the one who invaded the Inca. On the way, they stopped at Caxas, where messengers from the king had arrived, with an invitation to visit him, and a present of 2 stone mountains in the form of forts, some woolen stuff embroidered with gold and silver, and a quantity of perfume powder used by the native nobility. All right, so we know that Pizarro eventually, invaded and took prisoners and murdered many Incas, and took the whole empire and the capital of Cusco. So this is after, and it says that as the population on the Atlantic side of the Andes Mountain are also Quichua or Amaracan. Let us now recall some of the history of the great Chibcha kingdom of Kunding Amaraca, the neighbors of the nation just spoken of. It says here their kingdom of Kunding Amaraca and its capital of Bogota now forms part of the United States of Colombia in Central America, containing 100,000 square miles of territory, which may be found in longitude 74 and latitude 4 and 6 north. The kings of Amaraca on the Pacific coast had a road which followed the course of the Andes Mountains, connecting their city with the capital of Kunding Amaraca. Continuing the book, it says, we have an account of it from Dr. Don Luis Fernandez Piedrahita, canon of the Metropolitan Church of Bogota, calificador of the Holy Office of the Supreme and General Inquisition and Bishop-elect of Santa Marta. This work was dedicated in the year 1688 to His Majesty the King of Spain, and of the Indies, the bishop informs us that Kunding Amaraca, as the heathens called it, or the Indians, they called them heathens, right? Was the most important kingdom after Peru and Mexico, or apart from, the Incas and, the Mexica, Toltec, Olmec, Maya empires in Mexico. The chiefs of its population and the court of the barbarous king were at the capital, Bogota. So it seems the capital of Cundinamarca was in Bogota, in Colombia. To their idols of solid gold, they offered emeralds, powdered with gold dust. The city had 20,000 houses in the days of its fame, and the king, with his 200 wives, resided in an immense palace guarded by 12 gates, which were entered by solid stone staircases. All right, so you think it was just teepees? All right, immense palace. All right, dumb diverses, right? They came to take your kingdoms, your dukedoms, your principalities. All right, your palaces. All right. The author explains the rites and ceremonies of the Muiscas under paganism and informs us that when anyone died from the bite of a snake, that the sign of the cross was placed on the tomb, which is the American Peruvian sign for the word Amaru. Boom. Oh. Wow, right there, man. I mean, this correlates so much for me. All right. So they put the sign of the cross Anybody who got bit by a snake. And it says that this sign, all right, is the Peruvian sign for the word Amaru. You hear it right here? You see the cross? Amaru. Amaru. And with the addition of the word Ka, or land, represents the sacred national name America. All right? Amaru Ka. Amaru Ka, the land of the cross. Or who are they talking about Amaru when they're talking about Amaru?
It is clear then that America was never named after or even by any European at all, but is an adaptation from the natives' own term, Amaraca, or alternatively, Amaru-Ka. The spelling and pronunciation of the term was simply modified for European tongues, but its meaning remains the same. The meaning of Amaru-Ka can be deduced by examining the name of the last ruler in the bloodline of the Inca emperors, Tupac Amaru. Tupac Amaru led the final insurrection against the Spaniards in Peru from the last stronghold of the Incas in Vilcabamba, but was summarily defeated and beheaded. His name holds the key to understanding the true connotation of the word America. Steve Quayle explains. Tupac was an Incan royalty title which meant one who glows or one who shines. Amaru means serpent, Quetzalcoatl. Additionally, Amaru in the Incan language also has connotations of being a serpent connected to the subterranean or underworld.
All right, so real quick, we're in the website for Atlantis Rising magazine. So Atlantis Rising, I used to subscribe to this magazine way before there was internet. I used to get a lot of drop there, you know, all these historic and conspiracies and mysteries, you know, that they told us about. That was me. I was into all that way back. All right, so it says here, Amaruca to America, Amaruca. We just got that in the last book, right? What does it mean? The cross, right? In the 15 years that separated the discovery of the New World and the placing of the name America on the map, there were numerous ocean crossings that may have brought home the name America. All right? Numerous Spanish voyages reached the Caribbean islands in Central America. In Nicaragua, the Spanish explorers met up with a tribe called the Amerrique. All right, we're going to get into that. These people told the Spanish that their land was rich in gold. A French geologist, Jules Marcot, said the Spanish brought this name home. All right, so the Spanish brought this name with them from the Americas back to Europe. It wasn't Vespucci. It wasn't named after Vespucci. The mountain range in Nicaragua was land of perpetual wind and called Amerrique, and actually recorded in the sailing logs of Columbus himself. Augustus Le Plongeon said the word America or Amerrique actually meant land of the wind in the Mayan language. Le Plongeon was a French-American photographer, archaeologist, and author who produced several books that connected the Mayans to the old world. What did I tell you? All right, this is the true old world, and the Mayans are the Nagas who went over to Hindustan. The Nagas. This is the old world. All right, who's the Nagas, right? The serpents, all right? What we're about to get into. Check it out. A Peruvian people were called the Amaruca. All right, Amaruca. They worshiped a god named Amaru, a god. Amaru. Amaru. All right, let's go back. So remember that the cross was placed on the tomb, which is the American Peruvian sign for the word Amaru, the cross. And with the addition of the word Ka, or land, represents the sacred national name America. All right, let's go back. All right, it says a god named Amaru, who was similar to the plum serpent of the Maya. Amaru was the plum serpent. It was the same. All right, and who was the plum serpent? Quetzalcoatl, right? Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl. So they're saying Amaru is Quetzalcoatl. It is the plum serpent. All right, what are we talking about here? We're just talking about snakes, right? Serpent, right? We're talking about dragons. What are we talking about? Flying a plum serpent with feathers. Discoveries continue to be made in the land of Amaruca, which contains the remarkable Machu Picchu. The last of the Inca leaders was Tupac Amaru. Tupac Amaru, who was executed by the Spanish in 1572. When the Spanish landed in Colombia, they were also told they were in the land of Amaruca. You're in the land of Amaruca. You better recognize that, they told them. You're in the land of Amaruca. Amaru, the land of Amaru, or the plum serpent. You're in the land of the plum serpent. You understand? You're in the land of Quetzalcoatl. And who was Quetzalcoatl? We're going to get into that. It would not be incorrect to assume this was a wide-ranging area that held a group of related civilizations sharing certain characteristics. All right.
All right. So we're actually gonna get into Quetzalcoatl a little more in depth, and maybe tomorrow's video or the next day, you know. So we're not gonna get into that part yet, because we're gonna get more deep into it. This is just a little excerpt I was actually doing in this video. So we're gonna go forward. Just 1 second. Yeah. So I'll take this opportunity to shout out everybody in the chat. Thanks for being here. We're not done yet. We ain't done yet. Hope you guys are enjoying it. All right, let me get to the part. All right. Right.
In order to fully grasp the implications of America, land of the plumed serpent, we need to explore the oldest religion on Earth and its connection to the mythology of the three greatest civilizations that once existed in the Americas: the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Incas.
All right, so we're in the book again, Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America. It says here, the Andes silver mines of Peru and Amaraca are yet the richest in existence, and the finest gems of these mountains are the emeralds found in the Tunga mines near Bogota, which supply nearly the entire market of the world. All right, you see that footnote number 2? So that's the American Encyclopedia. They're telling you, where they get all the supply, the most of the supply in the world, from over here in America, right? The land of milk and honey, the real one, right? Now it says this.
So I just want to take the opportunity to remind everybody, I will be doing, a whole series on, I try to do a little bit on the pearls this week, and, it's just abundant here, the pearls in those times, and how they were getting them from here and all over the world, sending them all over the world, especially Europe. They got so rich of the pearls. The gold we have here is uneven, man. It's unimaginable how much gold the natives had in these mountains. I mean, even Costa Rica means rich coast. From Costa Rica, Nicaragua, even the Mayan Empire, all the way down to Peru, Colombia, Guyana, all that was the true Gold Coast. This was the true Gold Coast. What they try to put on the other side of the world, this was the true Gold Coast. We have a lot of silver, we have bronze, we have iron. All this stuff was from here. They always told us that it was coming from somewhere else mostly, but when you do the research, and I'm going to show you guys on future videos how abundance, how all the natural resources are in America, and emeralds, as you just read right here, emeralds, right? The entire market of the world is supplied these emeralds from Bogota. All right, let's keep going.
The neighborhood about which the Spaniards heard such fabulous stories of wealth that so many expeditions left in search of the golden city, El Dorado. All right, because it shines because of the gold, is a dorado gold. Baron de Humboldt, who had spent many years in these regions, says that Luis Daza met 1535 an Indian of Cundin, Amaraca, at Casa Amaraca, who was sent by his sovereign to ask the assistance of King Atahualpa, and as usual praised the richness of his country to Daza. But what fixed the attention of the Spaniards was the story of a lord whose body was covered with gold dust, and who lived at a lake in the middle of the mountains. A chief or a lord who was covered in gold dust?
All right, so you hear that? A lord, a king, a khan, a priest king covered in gold dust, right? So what does El Dorado really mean? Because you guys know that meant the golden one in Spanish. El Dorado is like when you shine, the adorned one. El Dorado, that's the golden one. All right, so was it really a city, or was it a person? And who we're really talking about? All right, these are all future videos. We're going to get into that.
So now talk about El Dorado. So El Dorado, when you think about it, a person covered in gold dust, in Spanish, you would say El Dorado. All right, so were they always talking about a city or a specific person? And who are we talking about here? We talking about a priest king? Are we talking about a King David? What are we talking about here? This was probably that to the east of Iraca and Tunga, where the two spiritual and secular chiefs of the empire of Kundin Amarca lived. Its temple of the sun was not far from the north side of the lands first found by the Spaniards. The high priest powdered his face and hands with gold dust every morning, which he had previously oiled or greased so as to retain it before offering sacrifice. Here, the chief kingdom in the Western Hemisphere when Columbus landed was Amaraca or America. Again, was Amaraca, the chief kingdom. It was called Amaraca, whose Inca kings, part of the Incas, claimed descent from the Ayamara race, Ayamara, Amaru, Amara, plum serpent, snake kings of Ayamaraca race of the Ayamaraca, the earliest known of the existent population from whom these monarchs, who resembled them, got some of their arts and religious ceremonies. The national history of Amaraca names saying Amaraca or America, the capital, as the first city of their empire. Alright, so it says, to see unabridged edition, the Spanish wrote it Guamarca, Gumarca, and pronounced the G, which does not exist with natives, like an H, so Huamarca, which gives us a Hua, or saint, a word added to their sacred names, while their history indicates that it ought to be Amaraca, or America. It is near the celebrated lake Amatitlan. These people were the Quichua race, and from this the Castilians called the city the Holy Cross of Quichua, the latter name only being used today. The Amaru, or Holy Cross of these people. Again, the Amaru, or Holy Cross, Amaru, cross, Quetzalcoatl, cross of these people, was conspicuous there, as in all the chief cities of America. It is the central object of adoration in the immense sacred ruins of Palenca, from which the continent was probably first called Land of the Holy Cross. Land of the Holy Cross, Amaru, Land of Amaru, Holy Cross. One author has attempted to find the etymology of Gumarca by phonetic comparison, forgetting that in pictorial literature, the meaning of a sign, when lost, can only be obtained by its morphological classification. The Spaniards endeavored to turn the American names into familiar sounds, as in the city of Rimac, which is today known as Lima. The kings of America claim descent from the Amara race, who are still existing and the most ancient race on the continent. All right, you still exist, and you're the most ancient race on the continent. Amaru, Can, in the map of Peru by the Holyoke Society showing the cradle of the Incas, may be seen Ayamaraca. In this neighborhood is an American city, which Cieza de Leon says is the finest in America, with magnificent houses built of cut stone and massive fortifications. The name given it was Huamanga, but we find in Torres dictionary that Huamanca is more correct. When the Ayamaras moved south, they probably founded another Amaraca before the Inca kings followed and took it from them. The war which broke out between Atahualpa and Huascar began by the former seizure of a rich province and his brother's kingdom, who took him prisoner, but he escaped and told his people that the sun turned him into an Amaru. The sun turned him into a plum serpent? What's he talking about? Amaru? Which enabled him to return, and this inflamed their religious sentiment to such an extent that they vanquished the enemy and captured King Huascar. Cieza de Leon, Holyoke Society. We're in the book still Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America. It says the Amaracan or American national history. These celebrated Amaracans or Americans, improperly called Peruvians, had a sacred book, and it says Popol Vuh. So I thought that was the Mayas. So they're telling you that the Amaracans, who are called Peruvians today, right, improperly, because it's all the same people, they're trying to let you know, all right, they also had the Popol Vuh. It says Casa Amaraca, and it says 3, right, the footnote in the 3, and it says the kings performed miracles here. So the kings performed miracles. Who were these Amaracan kings? Amaru, plum serpent, Quetzalcoatl. What are we talking about? Was the royal sacred necropolis, and near it is Pult Amarca, where the sulfur springs are still called the King's Baths. John Amaraca was their Hercules. From John, behold, the present indicative of the verb Janhal, to be. Behold, America was an appropriate name for the American Hercules. There was Bin Amarca in the Gulf where Manco Capac, the prince of American legislators and first Inca king, received his divine vocation. We got before that Manco Capac was Quetzalcoatl too, and Bochica, right, from Colombia, same people, same person. Then there were the cities of Amarca, Chempi Amarca, Yuria Amarca, Cat Amarca, Col Amarca, and Patinamit Amarca, or America the capital. The only one which appears in their ancient documents and sacred history as the foundation of their kingdom. All right, this is real stuff they never teach us. All right, they had this word already. All right, splendor of the kings of America, their mountain cities, palaces, and customs. The kings or Incas, according to their own and other native history, were conquerors of nations. Already in an advanced state of civilization, they selected the very best and richest part of the continent for their strongholds, and paid particular attention to its gold mines, which were nearly all from them. The war was American, getting nearer the right here, where they were encountering, you see, the kingdoms of Kundin Amaraca.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I just realized the background song is one of those songs, that I get trouble with. So let me try to read this out for you. All right. Here we go. Where were we? I'm sorry about that. I just realized. Hopefully we don't get messed up now. But let me see. Where were we? So it's talking about the kingdoms, right? Hold on, let me get how wealthy, how they had this. There we go. Let's put the volume down and read. All right. So they were in the very best, richest parts of the continent for their strongholds and paid particular attention to its gold mines, which were nearly all in the Andes. All right. We got some music here. The most compact mountain system in the world, running along the Pacific coast, almost the entire length of South America, from Patagonia, the southern end of the Pacific Ocean, to the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic. All right. Hundreds of miles, 36 wide, 1,300 feet above the level of the sea, and so completely walled in by high mountains that its streams, which have not any outlet, apparently meet in a famous lake of 4,600 square miles, Titicaca, the largest in South America, where the beautiful palaces of the Vestal Virgins of Amaraca in the island of Coati have been excavated for centuries. The work still going on. A Spanish explorer having found gold and silver to the extent of 4,450,280 in one of them, in another isle of this lake, where the first American high priest Manco Capac received his divine call from heaven, becoming a child of the sun. There are immense sacred ruins, and at Tihuanaco, a tradition is still repeated of large vaults filled with treasure beneath the great mound, and a subterraneous passage leading to Cusco, one of the royal cities 400 miles away. 400 miles away, a whole tunnel from there to Cusco, where among the innumerable sculptures, the Amaru, or great serpents, predominate, whose swift quivering movement was taken as an emblem of the streaks of lightning so often seen there and said to come from the sun, a belief indirectly true. So it's here the Amaru Cancha, or Palace of Snakes, with its cornices and interior walls covered with gold, right? Temples, remember, with pearls, and walls covered with gold, just like Marco Polo described the Grand Khan's palaces. All right, pay attention, future video. And the Temple of the Sun. All right, hold on, let's go back real quick. And the Temple of the Sun were immense stone buildings, enclosed in large aqueducts and gardens kept in order by priests, 4,000 of whom were attached. All right. Continue, says, to the latter temple, where the royal family alone could enter, the surrounding ground being considered so holy, all right, holy ground, all right, in the temple, that one could only walk. One could only walk. All right, hold on. The image is here. So this is actually an image, a drawing of Cusco right here. Look at the temples right here. This is what I'm showing, I guess. You know, all right, hurry up, Kurimeo. All right. So it says, so it's a holy, sacred place, right? So holy that one could only walk with bare feet within 200 paces of it. Of the 300 temples at Cusco, this one unsurpassed in the greatness and richness of its decorations by any building in the world, is only one instance of the immense value of the treasures of America before the Spanish invasion. Near the city is Taitambo. All right, so before we continue, Cusco, check out my City of David in Peru video. This is really one of my old ones, but it's really good video about Cusco and what we found in Cusco. What was Cusco? What was Sacsayhuaman? Could it have been the real City of David? Check out the video. All right. They still haven't been able to debunk any of this, and they're talking about they debunked me. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. All right. So Cusco, right, the navel of the world. That's what Cusco means in the Quechua language, the navel or the center. All right. It says Ollantaytambo, with numerous palaces and buildings wrought in polished marble, where that of the virgins of the sun, a marvel of American art, was well guarded. All right, let's see, a second. By its position in bridges, not far from a rocky mountain, which may still be seen for a mile long and 700 feet wide, apparently covered with white specks, which are tombs cut in the solid rock. The roads in this kingdom, says Baron de Humboldt, are the most useful and stupendous works ever executed by man. They're talking about these highways, these Inca highways, the famous Inca highways. Go ahead and Google that, research that. They still haven't been able to match it today. You're talking about you got more complex stuff. Come on, man. You don't even got highways. You don't got aqueducts. We got everything, not just pyramids. Their 4 chief routes from Cusco rival the best Roman work, frequently going into the region of perpetual snow. All right. Shout out to Breeze. Breeze. I don't want to get that chorus right there. So it says completely closed in winter through tunnels cut in solid rock over giant precipices, by steps crossing rivers, by solid masonry or suspension bridges, swung with osier ropes leading along the tablelands of Pasco, the highest point of the Andes occupied by man, to their richest silver mines at an elevation of 14,000 feet. All right, rich silver mines. All right, 14,000 feet above the sea level and only 1,500 below the perpetual snow line. There are 8 of these great highways in Chile, 6 in Bolivia, and 3 in Peru. The valleys of the great branches of the Andes are also specially adapted for these roads, which are connected with the seacoast by various passes over the western mountains. One of them running from the Pacific seaport of Trujillo, crosses over a summit of 11,600 feet before reaching Casa Amaraca, the capital of the kings. Amaraca, the capital of the kings, the priest kings, the khans, near which are the ruins of excavations through these mountains made to afford an outlet to a lake which had during the rainy season inundated the surrounding country, including the valley of Kurimeo. Oh, the valley of what? Kurimeo or Kurimeo? What? Kurimeo? The valley of Kurimeo. Kurimeo. Hey, when I first did this, I didn't realize. I mean, I was like, when I read it, but I saw this the other day. I'm like, wait, the valley of Kurimeo. Because see, my name Kurimeo, I got it from the Mayan. It was a Mayan word. Now I'm seeing that the Kurimeo is also here with the Incas, where gold was found in great quantities and smelted in furnaces. This road is continued by Popoyan and ending at Bogota, the capital of the kingdom of Cundin Amaraca, is still celebrated commercial thoroughfare. There are immense ruins at Casa Amaraca with subterranean treasure vaults in the houses and a portion of the king's palace cut out of solid rock. Padre Calancha, one of the pioneers, referring to the buried treasures of Casa Amaraca and other cities, says that if these were discovered, they would be sufficient to enrich the world. They haven't even discovered all this gold and riches that they, you see what he's saying? You understand what you talking about? You're talking about a little pyramid over there. We got way more than just pyramids. All right, we got agriculture, we got science, we got map making, architecture, everything. We got everything over here. Calendars. Zero. Who invented that? Right? What does Kurimeo mean? Strength and loyalty. Strength and loyalty. Thanks for asking. The population of the empire of Amaraca, which extended along the Pacific coast for 3,000 miles, was estimated at 12 millions. Huayna Capac, who was one of the most illustrious of the American kings, had subdued the entire country surrounding Quito. All right, Quito was again in Ecuador today, the capital, right? And the queen of the newly conquered territory became one of his wives, by whom he had a son named Atahualpa. All right, so this is Atahualpa's parents, who was his favorite, although his brother Huascar was the lawful heir to the throne. All right, so you see this? So you see this sounds almost like, you know, the brother who's, you know, the rightful heir, who's the oldest, right? But then somebody else got it. Isn't that a biblical story too? Hello, Atahualpa, who was his favorite, although his brother Huascar was, all right, let's go back. Hold on, sorry. All right, we're live, right? So thanks for bearing with me. During the monarch's last days, this queen induced him to issue a decree by which her son was to succeed him as the king of Quito, right? While his brother, the heir apparent of the kingdom, at the king's death, oh, okay, hold up. Okay, this is a drawing of Atahualpa. Hualpa discovering the mind. You see how they drew him? Hualpa. All right, so it says, at the king's death, Atahualpa proceeded to the capital of Quito, where he was royally received and assumed the crown. The late king had asserted that his decree was not contrary to the national law of primogeniture, and he was only returning Atahualpa to the nation of which he was legitimate sovereign, Quito being a new conquest. All right, and here's a drawing. It says here, King Atahualpa attacks his brother's army near Casa Amaraca. All right, so I want to see if the background song is gone now. Let me see if I can put up the original audio.
Atahualpa attacks his brother army near Casa Amaraca. See that? Historians disagree as to the cause of the war between the brothers, in which Atahualpa defeated Huascar's army, annexed his kingdom, and imprisoned himself in the fortified city of Amaraca, where he was held when the Spaniards arrived in Casa Amaraca. Continuing the book, Discovery of the Origin of the Name of America.
Yeah, Roberto, so we're not discrediting pyramids. The point is we got the more complex pyramids over here, and they didn't like that. They got emotional when I told them that, right? Study La Danta, study Caral Supe. The oldest pyramids are in Caral Supe, Peru. We got the tallest and largest complex pyramids, Pyramid Cholula, La Danta, El Mirador. We got so many mounds. We got so much hidden still in the forest. They're doing their lighter technology today, revealing so much in the jungle right now, Roberto. Right now, Roberto. Yeah, but they have an origin, Roberto. Somebody taught everybody how to build pyramids, Roberto. There's an origin to everything. Credit is due. Credit is due. That's all I'm saying. All right. That's a theme park over there, man. Check out UBTV. Shout out to UBTV for exposing that theme park over there, man. You're falling for it, man. That's a theme park. They build it to look like ruins. You guys fell for it. Straight up. All right. Here we go. We're going to continue.
It says here in the first standard map of the world showing the Western Hemisphere, it was called an island. And there also appeared another name, Tamaracua, meaning Amaraca or America, which was not an island, but part of the mainland, much resembling one, as may observe by our sketch. All right, so it says number 3, but no, let's go to that. It says, the point of land, so like an isle, and now known as Maracaibo, was no doubt part of Amaracapana, or the country of Amaraca, mentioned by Humboldt, and it is a curious illustration of these early errors to find it called by Ojeda, the isle, province, and lake of Coquivacoa, which the crown appointed him governor of, though existing only in his imagination. But they soon found out their mistake, for the name Coqui meant Chibchi, the Chibchi royal race of the kingdom of Cundin, Amaraca. The Cape Chipchi was opposite the supposed ISO, Codassis map, and Mercator, getting nearer the fact wrote it Cuchi and other Chipchi, which they found later on was the name of the people and not their country, and altered it to Maracaibo, which, like Amaracapana, meant Amaraca or America, Amaraca. All right. Humboldt says that only two languages were spoken on the mainland first visited: that of the Caribs, always at war with the people of Amaracapana, the Caribs. All right, we're always warring with the Amaraca. We know that the Caribs were warring with the Anahuacans in Spanish, Anahuacans. We know that Mexico's called Anahuac, Amaracans. We know that Amaru, Amaraca, the connection there gets a code in the Mexicans. All right, so
All right, so I just wanted to add, very important again, just because there was many indigenous tribes here doesn't mean everybody was friendly to each other too. We had our own wars and everything here. Caribs were one very warlike people. They invaded a lot of tribes. It's all good though. We're not saying anything bad. I'm just telling you true history. We can't just deny that, but it's okay. Well, we know what these people look like is the point, right? More and more war everywhere. Not just when the Europeans got here. It was happening already here too.
must therefore have spoken the other, or Tamanagua. The Orenago, he adds, is Tamanagua word. Tamanagua, Tamir, Tameri. It was probably from them that the Spaniards first heard of the treasures of Kundin Amaraca. It is evident that these people living on the coast of Amaraca were the Americans, for which the name Tamanagua, the isle of Tamaracua, are intended. We suppose that the isle of Tamaragua might have meant Jamaica, pronounced Jamaica. Ho ho ho! By the Spaniards. Wow, Jamaica by the Spaniards. Tamaragua. All right, was this Jamaica? Is that what they're trying to say? Tamaragua was Jamaica, and would have explained the cause of Mercator's calling the West Indies Camercan Islands. But the evidence we found disproved it. American, or Peruvian in parentheses, it says, was the diplomatic and fashionable language of the Western Hemisphere at the time of the Spanish conquest, as we now find French spoken all over the world because it has been accepted as the tongue which must be used by all nations in their official communications. When Christians became powerful enough to make their language international, they introduced their religion also, and so did the Americans who preached Amaru, or the cross, Amaru, or the cross, Amaru, or the cross, to which we will refer presently, and consequently we find this faith all over America. On Mercator's map may be observed the name of the Arahuacas, given to the country behind the Golden Castle Mountains on the coast of Amaracapana. The chief god of these people is Hua Amaracon, and they were neighbors of the Caribes, in whose houses there was always a maraca or tamaraca, which was the name of their household god, and when shaken by their priests, the Great Spirit spoke through them. They were placed on the ground adorned with feathers, and meat and wine was placed before them, which the people thought they eat. Persia says that on the coast of Amaracapana, among their many idols and figures which they honor as gods, they have one like St. Andrew's cross, which they thought preserved them from night spirits, and they hanged it on their newborn children, a cross. These maracas or tamaracas were rattles. La maraca, the rattle, la maraca, right? No doubt of the Amaru, or rattlesnake, and so we find the sacred cross, or Amaru, among all the Amaracan nations. The chief god at Haiti, where Columbus resided, was also Hua Amaracon. Again, the chief god of Haiti, Amaru, was an Amaru, was a plum serpent, a snake king, Hua Amaracon, written Amanacon, Amanacon by the Spaniards, Anacon, Amanacon. All right, you hear that?
All right, so I just want to add right there because a lot of and this is not a to go at anybody who's into the more stuff. How they try to say, well, that says Morocco, Kurimeo, Maracas, Morocco. No, this means the rattle, the rattle. That's an instrument in Spanish. The maraca is our rattle instrument. That's what we call, and that represents the rattlesnake. It has nothing to do with Morocco because Morocco came later. That place was named Morocco later, a lot later. If anything, they got it from here. Yes, that now we can might be able to agree on that. Yeah, America is the true old world, but that doesn't mean this is Morocco. Because something was named after maracas or rattles. You get what I'm saying? All right, we're gonna continue. All right. So we're gonna continue to part two right now. I hope you guys ain't bored or sleepy or tired or anything like that. All right. Got a good one coming up too. It's not just that. We ain't done. We ain't done. All right. We're not done. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys enjoying the presentation so far. We're doing a little mini marathon today. All right. Little mini marathon. All right. Get this information like it's the first time with our better understanding of what we've researched in the last 2 or 3 years since this original research. All right. Shout out to the beat producers. All right. Who is Vespucci? And did you guys know there was another place in Central America named Amerrique? Let's go.
Shalom to the Amarucan Shabbatah. This is part 2 of the origin of the name America investigation we got going. If you haven't seen, part 1 of this, pause it right now and go watch that. You don't want to miss that. So, right away, let's just get into it, family. I got some more information, some more correlation to you, so you can see that this name is more indigenous than a European creation. All right, so now we're going to go into a whole other correlation here with the word America. All right, and this is, let's start with this journal here, this entry, this article from the American Geographical Society. It's called The Origin of the Name America. Again, the source would be the Journal of the American Geographical Society of New York, Volume 20, 1888, pages 183 to 196.
All right, so before we continue, just want to make it clear, we already, there is no undisputing that America, Amaruca was here. It was an indigenous town. It was an indigenous term. When the Spanish arrived, they brought that back with them. They associated the name America because of the indigenous name and term. It wasn't from Vespucci. We're going to see on this presentation right now who Vespucci was. I'm just talking about all those who just joined us right now, or if you're coming into this late, we just went over 2 hours, right? So we're like 2 or 3 hours in already. I don't know really how much, but we're going to go into this other correlation. All right.
All right. Again, The Origin of the Name America by G.O.C. Hurlbut. An article under this title in the Bulletin of the American Geographical Society number 4 for 1886 was devoted to an examination of Mr. Jules Marco's theory that the name of the New World was taken from that of a mountain range in Nicaragua. Now they're talking about this article by Jules Marco. He wrote it in French first, The Origin of the Name America, in a place in Nicaragua. And Mr. Marco holds that 4 facts dominate the question as to the origin of the name America. These facts are, first, that Amerrique, all right, now we're going into Amerrique, is the Indian name of the mountains between Yuigalpa and Libertad in the province of Chontales in Nicaragua. And these mountains separate Lake Nicaragua from the Mosquito Coast. The word Amerrique signifies in the Maya language the country of the wind, the country where the wind blows constantly. The Christian name of Vespucci is Alberigo. Okay? All right, so we're about to get into Vespucci now. All right, again, the real Christian name of Vespucci is Alberigo. In Italian and in Spanish, Albericus in Latin. All right, Albericus. So this is Albert, actually, Albert. Alberigo and Albericus is Albert. Nothing to do with America, right? Says 3, no other name has ever been subjected to so many variations and combinations, whether deliberate or unconscious, as the name of Vespucci. There is no parallel instance in the history of distinguished men, except in the name Alberigo. Not one of the names is found in the nomenclature of the calendars of the Italian and Spanish saints, Although Vespucci lived at the time of the greatest fervor and the absolute supremacy of Roman Catholic Christianity. All right, you hear what they're telling you, right? Finally, not one of these names, Americus, Amerigo, Amerigo, Amerrico, Americo, Almerigo, Albertutio, Almerico, Morigo, Damerigo, Armenico, Amaric, Iamaric, Almaric, and Amaric is a diminutive or an accepted form either in Italy or in Spain or in France for Alberico, Albericus, and Alberic, Alberic or Albert. All right, so they're telling you that these names, if it was his name, Amerigo, right? If they're trying to say, well, it's different in a different language than Albert. Albert is Amerigo. No, it's not. All right, it is not. It's not. It doesn't translate to Albert. All right, that was his name. So his name has nothing to do with America. All right, that's closed case right there. We shouldn't even be having this discussion, but we have to, right? Because everybody's still talking about Vespucci. Now, before 1507, the date of the publication of the name Americus by Jean Basson at Saint-Dié, the name is not to be found in any printed document nor in any manuscript document of recognized and unquestionable authenticity. All right, so they're saying that his name, Americus, or linked to anything to Vespucci, does not appear printed anywhere before 1507, because at 1507 is when they came out with this map, right, that has the word America on South America, little piece of South America that's sticking out. All right, and that's when it came out. So before that, there's nothing stating that, you know, Vespucci is Americus or relating that word anywhere with him. All right, these are Mr. Marcus' 4 facts, and they do not all stand examination. First, the range of mountains in the Chontales province bears among educated Nicaraguans the name of Amerrique, Amerrique, and the orthography of a word is to be learned from the educated, not from the ignorant. All right, so the etymology of a word, you should learn that from educated people, not from ignorant people, men who use it. The Amerrique tribe, which gave its name to the range, is fast fading away, and there seems to be no reason for believing that the law, which works in all other languages, does not work in theirs. Names are a part of language, and language is like Falstaff, in a state of continual dissolution and thaw. It is supposed that the Amerriques were once powerful, but very little is known concerning them. All right, so look at this word Amerrique. Remember, and Amaracana was also called Tamarisk, Tamaric, Amerrique, Tamarisque. The decay of their speech must have gone on for a long time before civilized men had occasion to know the tribe, and the name by which the people and the mountains are now known is not improbably the bare remnant of the original word, which may very well have been something like Ameristique, shortened successively to Ameristique and Amerisque, to which latter shape the arts of writing and printing may give permanence. All right, so again, we got the original source, again, the origin of the name America by Jules Marcos. So let's see what Jules actually said. You know, the other guy was reviewing his work. Says the controversy as to the priority of the discovery and the honor of bestowing a name on the New World has been so long undecided, almost 3 centuries, that any light thrown upon this intricate problem may help its true solution. If the truth be discoverable at this late day, and with this hope I offer the following contribution. Amerrique, or Amerrique, is the name in Nicaragua for the highland or mountain range that lies between Yugalpa and Libertad in the province of Chontales, and which reaches on the one side into the country of the Carcas Indians, and on the other into that of the Ramas Indians. Ramas, all right? Can't drop, letting us know what Ramas or Romans, Romi, this meant something to do with the promised land and the pomegranate. It just means pomegranate in the promised land, the people of the promised land, or the promise, the Ramas. All right, Romans, they hijacked the word. The rios Mico, Artigua, and Carca, that form the Rio Bluefields, the Rio Grande Matagalpa, and the rios Rama and Indio, that flow directly into the Atlantic, as well as the rios Comoapa, Mayales, Acoyapa, Ajocuapa, Oyale, and Terpenaguatapa, flowing into the Lake of Nicaragua. All have their sources in the Amerrique range. All right, so all these places, especially this area that dumps into the Caribbean side or the Atlantic side of Nicaragua, you see a lot of copper-colored people, you know, in this area that look like many of the so-called African Americans in the USA. So, you know, you gotta visit these areas, but this is an important ancient area, and this name Amerrique is theirs. This is a tribal name, Amerrique. It says the names of places in the Indian dialects of Central America often terminate in Ike or Ik, which seems to mean great or elevated, prominent, and is always applied to dividing ridges or to the elevated mountainous countries, but not to volcanic regions. For instance, Nique and Aglecinique in the Isthmus of Darien, Estados Unidos de Colombia, Tucarique and Amerrique in Nicaragua, Amatique, Manabique, Chaparristique, Lepaterique, Lotique, and Ajuterique en Honduras, Atenquique, Estados Unidos de Mexico, Tactic and Poloquic in Guatemala, Tepic, Acatic, and Mezquitic in the state of Jalisco. The list of Indian local or other names with the termination of Ike or IC as Cacique or Cacique, great chief, might be easily lengthened. Alright, so you see what he's saying? This French guy is that this word like Amerrique, the IC, that's an indigenous term, right? An indigenous way of describing something, and in word sound it becomes like the ik, but it means great or elevated, prominent. All right, so he's letting you know, he's breaking that part of the word down for you. It is now well known through the learned researches of philologists for the last 20 years that no denominations are more securely established than the names of localities, mountains, valleys, lakes, and rivers. Even the most absolute conquest, unless it totally exterminate the aboriginal race inhabiting a country, does not destroy entirely the names of localities or lieux dits, as the French so well express it. So he's telling you that, you know, we got a lot of names, like even in the States, a lot of the mountain names, like, you know, whatever, Mount Zion or whatever, you know, Appalachian mountain, you know, these are indigenous words, is what he's saying. Even though the people are gone, the aboriginals have been enslaved or sent away or are now being called Negro, African American, the indigenous names of these places, it's a fact that you know they're still there, and that they are indigenous, that they were named by the indigenous people. They are indigenous words. So he's trying to let you know that this Amarrisque mountains, it's an indigenous word, and it's from the indigenous people of that area, the aboriginals. That's what it's basically letting you know. These names may be slightly modified by various spelling, but the primitive sound remains. And even where the aboriginal race entirely disappears, the names of places are often preserved, at least as synonymous, of which there are many examples in Canada, in New England, in the state of New York, and elsewhere throughout the Union. The question to be decided is whether the word Amerrique or Amerrique, designating a part of the terra firma discovered by Cristoforo Colombo on his fourth and last voyage to the New World, was known to the great navigator, and consequently could have been repeated by him or by the companions of his voyage. There is no certainty of this, for the word is not confound in the very brief account he has left us. But we know that Christopher Columbus knew of the word Amaraca, Amaracapana, but as the origin of the word Amerrique has been until now an enigma, in spite of the different interpretations of it that have been given, and that Vespucci had nothing to do with this name. Vespucci had nothing to do with this name, entirely unknown to him. The inventor of the word Amerrique or America, being a printer and bookseller in a small town hidden in the Vosges Mountains, it is perhaps well to review the facts and to show where lies the greatest probability for a true solution of the origin of this word America, which denominates alone a hemisphere. In the Lettera Rarissima of Cristoforo Colombo, given an abridged description of his fourth voyage, 1502-03, he says that after having passed the Cape Gracias a Dios on the Mosquito Coast, he reached the Rio Grande Matagalpa, which he called the Disaster River. And after remaining anchored there for several days, he stopped some time for repairing his ships and giving rest to the crews between the small island of La Huerta, the garden Kiribiri, in the continent opposite the village of Cariari or Cariay. Cariari is so like Carcay, or the dwelling place of the Carcass Indians, who still live in the neighborhood, that it is possible that the variation is caused by an error in reading the manuscript letter of Colombo, the sea having been mistaken for an eye. The great object of the desire and researches of Colombo and his company was the finding of gold mines. All right, listen to this, the finding of gold mines, and of these inhabitants of Cariari and Carcay had much to relate. They led Colombo to another village called Carambaru, whose inhabitants wore golden mirrors around their necks. These Indians named several places where mines of gold existed, the last name being Veragua, 25 leagues distant on the coast. And they're talking about further south, when you start going into Costa Rica and Panama, that's what they were calling Veragua. Colombo and his company were struck by the number of sorcerers, medicine men, sorcerers they call them, shaman, right? The medicine men, among the Cariari or Carcay, and the sailors afterward thought they had been bewitched by them, as they suffered from the many tempests and mishaps of all sorts they were obliged to endure for the rest of the voyage. What was the geographical position of Cariari, Carcay, Carambaru, and Veragua? Veragua is known to be in the Great Bay of Chiriquí, Costa Rica. Chiriquí, Cherokee, the Cherokee. Look at that word. Costa Rica, like I told you. So the Amerrique Mountains, the end of it almost ends near Costa Rica. We still got the word Cariari here in Costa Rica, Cariari. All right. Columbus says in his narration, and there is a lot of gold here. They did find a lot of gold. The Indians were gold all over them. That's why it's named Costa Rica, which means rich coast. Columbus named it the rich coast because he saw all the gold. And not just that, the fruits, the fertile land, he meant rich in many ways. Columbus says in his narration, it is the custom in this territory of Veragua to bury the chief men with all the gold they possess. And in these last years, gold has been found in the tombs of the aborigines of that country. Aborigines. Carambaru was at least 25 leagues distant from Veragua, Chiriquí, which brings us a little to the north of the Rio San Juan. And the Rio San Juan is that which divides Costa Rica and Nicaragua. And Greytown, Cariari, Carcay, must have been a little farther north in the neighborhood of the mouth of the Rio Bluefields, of which the Rio Carca is one of the affluents, where are several islands, and this accords with the narration of Colombo. The Carcass Indians inhabit all this region and work today in the gold mines of Santo Domingo and Libertad. On the Rio Mico, another affluent of the Bluefields, at the foot of the Amerrique or Amerrique range, at the foot of the Amerrique range. And if you know about Nicaragua and Bluefields, you see that's all copper-colored tribes of America there. You'll see that, all right? At the foot of the Amerrique or Amerrique range, Carambaru was probably near Rio Rama and in the country of the Ramas and Indians. Now the Ramas and Carcas Indians have always resisted all attempts at civilization. Most of them, especially the Ramas, are wholly savage and allow no one to penetrate into their country. They have remained the same as they were when Colombo visited them in 1502. It is well known with what tenacity the Indians attached themselves to all their surroundings, and the Amerrique or Amerrique range forms the highest chain of mountains in the country of the Carcas and Ramas Indians, the average being 3,000 feet, making a dividing line between the waters flowing directly into the Atlantic and those that empty into the Lake of Nicaragua. According to travelers who have visited certain places in the neighborhood of Libertad, Yuegalpa, and Acoyapo, this mountain range is very conspicuous. It is seen from afar with its precipitous rocks, great white cliffs, and huge isolated rocky pinnacles. This ridge divides the country in two parts. distinguished by totally different climates. To the east, continual rains have caused impenetrable forests, and to the west of this dividing line, the country is arid and unproductive for want of rain. The Amerrique range prevents the passage of all the moisture from the Atlantic. All right, so you see this ridge, this Amerrique mountains, how they split the country in two and keep all the water on one side. That happens almost like that here in Costa Rica. Our Caribbean side gets a lot more rain, all right, than our Pacific side. All right. The Amerrique range prevents the passage of all the moisture from the Atlantic. The direction is from north-northwest to south-southeast, and the last spur of the range is on the Atlantic coast, a little to the north of Greytown. The ramifications being in the country of the unapproachable and savage Ramas Indians. All right, we're in this book now. It's called The Earth and Its Inhabitants, North America, by Elise Reclus. All right, volume 2. It says Mexico, Central America, West Indies. All right, 1893. And we're going to this part of the book right here. And it's talking about a region in Central America in Nicaragua. All right, from Nicaragua going down towards Costa Rica. All right, and it says in several places, these fragmentary sections of the plateau present the aspect of distinct sierras. Such are in the north the Sierra de Geluca, and in the south that of Jolaina, which terminates seaward in the Punta Mico, the monkey point of English writers. Amongst the various foothills of the main range, there is one ridge which had passed unnoticed by all geographers till indicated for the first time by the naturalist Belt in 1874, when it attracted universal attention owing to the curious resemblance of its name to that of the New World itself. All right, its name resembled the name of the New World, where they're talking about America. This is the little Sierra de Amerrique. All right, this is the Sierra de Amerrique near Libertad. Otherwise, remarkable for its sheer rocky walls, its obelisk and huge isolated crags. The name of the continent has now been connected by M. Marco with these hitherto unknown rugged heights. The theory being that Amerigo Vespucci and other early navigators heard the natives speak of the hills in question as abounding in treasures, and then applied the term to the whole region. Thereupon it occurred to Amerigo to turn to his personal glory the accidental resemblance of this name to his own. All right, we're going to see that's not even his name. All right, now it says the Sierra de Amerrique, called also Amerrique and Amerrique. All right, Amerrique. Remember, there was a large island they said called Amarrique up north of South America, Amarrique, and they had a god named Amarrique and the people Amarrique. All right, Amerrique, Amerrique, from a local tribe said to have been formerly powerful. All right, so it says that this name Amerrique from a local tribe, Amerrique people, the Amerrique tribe, Amerrique, Ishke, Chisque, Mosque, Merisque, from a local tribe said to have been formerly powerful, lies in the territory of the ancient Lencas, as is shown by the ending, Rigue, and generally occurring in the Honduras regions inhabited by these Indians. There is the strongest evidence that this word, denoting the range in the rocks of Amerrique, or Amerrique, is an indigenous word. All right, this is an indigenous word. The terminal Ike or IC being common for the names of locality in the language of the Lenca Indians of Central America. All right, this is a word the Lenca use, a part of Mexico, and that this name has been perpetuated without alteration since the discovery of the New World by the complete isolation of the Indians who live in this part of the continent, who call their mountains by the same word today as they did in 1502 when Colombo visited them, Amerrique, or Amerrique. These mountains are auriferous. At their foot lie the gold mines of Libertad and Santo Domingo, and further the gold of the alluvion or the placers is entirely exhausted, which can only be explained through a previous washing by the Indians themselves. At present, the gold is to be found only in the veins of quartz rock. Colombo says that Indians named several localities rich in gold, but he does not give the names in his very curtailed account, contenting himself with citing the names of the province of Siamba. But it is highly probable that this name, Amerrique or Amerrique, was often pronounced by the Indians in answer to the present demands of the Europeans of the expedition. The eagerness for gold was such among the first navigators that it formed their chief preoccupation everywhere, and it is almost certain that to their continual questions as to the place where the gold was found that the Indians wore as ornaments, the reply would be from Amerrique. All right, you get it? So they're finding all this gold in this coast too in Central America, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Veragua. All right, and where did you get that gold? They would ask the Indians, and they would say, we got it from the Amarrique, Amaru, Amaruca, Amaraca. So you see how there's also gold in South America related to Amaraca. All right, and there's gold here related to Amerrique. So they're going back to Europe, all these people, and like, man, we're getting gold from all these regions called Amerrique, America, Amerrique. All right, this word signifying the most elevated and conspicuous part of the interior, the upper country, the distinguishing feature of the province of Kiamba. It does not follow that Colombo was ignorant of the word Amerrique, because he was omitted in the Lettera Rarissima, which was addressed by him to his Catholic Majesty, the powerful King of Spain. It is evident from his mention of several places where gold was to be found, as the Indians had told him without giving their names, that he did not tell all he knew, and it must be remembered that the Lettera Rarissima was written under the most painful circumstances. He was a prisoner in the island of Jamaica, loaded with chains, old, infirm, and overwhelmed by suffering and injustice, and not in a position to make a very full report of his expedition. His account of his fourth voyage, and the least clear and precise of all his writings, shown in its confused and melancholy style the sad condition to which he was reduced, and although the name Amerrique is not seen therein, the region may have been considered by Colombo and his companions as an unexplored El Dorado, occupying the interior of the country in the province of Kiamba, along the coast of which they had navigated. We may suppose that Colombo and his companions, on their return to Europe, when relating their adventures, would boast of the rich gold mines they had discovered through the Indians of Nicaragua, and say they lay in the direction of Amerrique. This would make popular the word Amerrique as the common designation of that part of the Indies. All right, so Central America, Amerrique; South America, Amaraca, in which the richest mines of gold in the New World were situated. All right, the word Amerrique, a synonym for this golden country. Amerrique, a synonym for this golden country, just like Amaracapana, would become known in the seaports of the West Indies and then in those of Europe, and would gradually penetrate into the interior of the continent, so that a printer and bookseller in Saint-Dié, at the foot of the Vosges, would have heard the word Amerrique without understanding its true meaning as an indigenous Indian word, but would become acquainted with it in conversations about these famous discoveries as designating a country in the New Indies very rich in mines of gold. The annual report of the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institute showing the operations, expenditures, and condition of the institution in July 1888. There's like a report in here. And it says here, Amerigo, Vespucci, and Amaraca by Jules Marceau. Has different notes on what Jules Marceau said as well. All right, so these are some letters from Jules Marceau. And it says here, Washington, D.C., December 29th, 1887. It says, the word Amerrique is pronounced as Mr. Thomas Bell wrote it by the natives of the tribe with whom I have conversed. These Indians seem to have been formerly a powerful tribe. These were a powerful tribe, the Amarucans, right? The Amaruk. At a distance from the Sierra Range in the level ground, there are extensive spaces which were at one time cemeteries and undoubtedly belonged to these Indians. It is certain that towards the south other tribes inhabited that region. It is moreover easy to know that they kept up from very ancient date a communication with the Atlantic coast, cultivating probably friendly relations with the once warlike tribe of the Moscos, who held the country from about Laguna de Caratasca, Honduras, and the Cape Gracias a Dios to a little south of the Laguna de Perlas in the Rio Bluefields. At the present day, the Amerriques are a few in number, but I do not feel able at the moment to give any sufficient reason for that fact. They are not molested by anyone and they live at their ease in their mountains, but it is evident that no long time will elapse before they disappear entirely, perhaps by absorption into other tribes. Mr. Thomas Bell, to whom you refer, must have had occasion to know the mountains and the Indians at that name during a journey which he made over the Cordillera to Matagalpa and Segovia. I served under the order of that gentleman in the mines of Chontales and enjoyed the honor of his friendship and confidence. This protest of Senator J. D. Rodriguez was brought out by the position taken by a few opponents who claimed that because the map makers have not inscribed the name Amerrique on any of the maps known until now, the name Amerrique applied to a chain of mountains of Nicaragua was created out of Mr. Belt's inner consciousness. All right, so they're trying to say that this guy created this name, Thomas Belt, all right, but it's not the truth. Don Manuel M. de Peralta, now listen to this, Minister of Costa Rica at Washington, wrote a letter to President of the Republic of Nicaragua, Don Ad Cardenas, asking if there really is in El Departamento de Chontales a chain of mountains known by the name of Amerrique, Amerrique, or Amerrique. The answer not only confirmed the existence of the Sierra Amerrique, but also a tribe of Indians called Los Amerriques, the Amerriques, Los Amerriques. All right, you hear that? There was a tribe by that name, the Amaru, Amari, Tamari, and that the spelling of the name was, as Mr. Bell wrote it, Amerrique, with two R's. From those well-authenticated facts, we can be fully confident that there are still in existence the remnants of an Indian tribe calling themselves Amerriques, formerly powerful and extending over a great part of the ground between the Lake of Nicaragua and the Atlantic coast. The mountains to which they are now confined are called the Amerrique Range or Sierra Amerrique, and they have occupied for centuries the richest gold area of the region. The gold mines are numerous and are worked even to this day on a great scale. Round Libertad, Santo Domingo, and Jualcalpa, where great quantities of the precious metal have been and are still extracted. The name Huascalpa means the country of gold, and the name of the Mosquito Coast in the Indian language is Tausgalpa or Taguscalpa. Galpa means gold, so that the true name of the country between the Cape Gracias a Dios, the Rios Rama and San Juan, instead of being Mosquito Coast or Mosquita, is, according to the Aborigines, the Gold Coast. All right, this is the real Gold Coast. We're talking about right here in Central America, and then we're talking about also in South America. All right, the Amaracapana Coast. All right, that's all gold. All this was gold. This whole area of the America, the Caribbean, Central America, they were getting gold in Hispaniola. Remember, there was gold in.
All right. So real quick, yeah. So you see Gold Coast by the Aborigines, right? Actually, Aborigines, they are the local people, what they call their coast. Oh, we call it the Gold Coast. Tegucigalpa. You guys ever heard of that? That's a place. That's a city in Honduras. All right. Now we know what it means. It means the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast. All right. What we're looking at right now is a statue in a museum in San Jose, Costa Rica. I'm gonna take you guys there one day. I'm gonna go and film and show this statue right there and all the gold they have. It's called the Gold Museum. And it's underneath, it's underground. And we're gonna go to another museum and show you all the jade and gold that was over here. It's abundant and abundant and abundant. Just look at the phenotype in this person here from Panama, gold pendant. All right, we're gonna continue. All right.
The rivers there. All right, so this is the original Gold Coast, and this is what the Aborigines considered it, the Gold Coast. All right, now let us see about the first explorations by European navigators of the coast of the central part of the New World. Continuing in the book Origin of the Name America by Jules Marceau. Hilacomilus of Saint-Dié, ignorant of any printed account of these voyages, but those of Albericus Vespucius, published in Latin in 1505 and in German in 1506, thought he saw in the Christian name Albericus the origin of this for him altered and corrupted word, Amerrique or Amerrique, and renewing the fable of the monkey and the dolphin who took the Piraeus for a man, called this country by the only name among those of the navigators that had reached him, and which resembled the word Amerrique or Amerrique. In order to accomplish this, it was necessary to change considerably the Christian name of Vespucius, and from Albericus, Alberico, Amerigo, and Morigo, which are the different ways of spelling the first name of Vespuccio, or Vespucci, or Vespucci. He made Americus. Thus, according to my view, it is owing to a grave mistake of Gila Comulus that the aboriginal name of the New World, Amerrique, Amerrique, has been Europeanized and connected with the sons of Anastasio Vespuccio. All right, this aboriginal word was Europeanized. Had this mistake occurred in Spain, Portugal, or the West Indies, evidently it would have been corrected, for Vespuccio and many of the companions of Colombo were still living. But in the little town of Saint Dié, the name of which probably was never known to Cristoforo Colombo or Alberico Vespuccio, distant from any seaport, this little pamphlet of the bookseller Hilacomilus was restricted to a small circle, and in truth it is around this limited area the error was propagated and prolonged by a publication of a new edition of the pamphlet of Hilacomulus at Strasbourg in 1509, and by the appearance at Basel in 1522 of the first map upon which was seen America Provincia. This map with the name America upon it reached Spain long after the death of Cristoforo Colombo.
All right, so I just want to emphasize what they're talking about right here. How we came to think that America was named after Vespucci. That was the opinion of one like German guy or Habsburg, wherever that was. You know, it was nowhere near what the Spanish knew, because the Spanish would have corrected him, is what he's saying. And the local population said, no, no, it's not after Vespucci. It's our name. And the Spanish would have said, no, no, we got that from the indigenous or aborigines of that land, Amaraca, Amerrique. That's where we got it. We didn't get it from Vespucci. So by the time that map, which is getting all the credit, that one source, right, reached Spain, Columbus and all these people were already dead. All right, that's what the guy's pointing out right now.
Which took place in 1506, and the companions of his expedition, almost all unlearned men, were also either dead or gone back to the Indies, and no one was there who could correct the mistake. Even supposing that the map gave the origin of the word, the name Amerrique had been heard not as that of a man, but of a country, of an undetermined portion of terra firma, of the New World, and it was accepted without difficulty, no attention being paid to the mistake of the printer and bookseller of Saint Dié, whose pamphlet was probably unknown in Spain. There can be little doubt that the word Amerrique was not only known but popularized to a certain extent in the seaports of Spain, Portugal, and the Indies, or it would not have been thus at once accepted by universal consent without discussion. All right, so we know that the Spanish knew about Amaracapana or Amaraca because they had a settlement named Amaraca, Amaracu. We know that, right? So of course they accepted when they saw Amerrique, America, all right? This is all the more probable from the fact that Hilacomulus, beside the marked alteration of the first name, Alberico, all right? So remember, Alberico, and this is Albert, has nothing to do with America. Disregarded the rule which has always been followed in naming countries by giving the first name instead of the family name of his hero, right? So he's pointing out that even, let's say it was true that it was named after Alberigo, then it should have used his last name, not his first name like everybody else does. He should have called the New World Vespuccia or Vespuccia after his last name, all right?
All right, so you guys get that point. All right, case closed. All right, if he was really naming it after himself, or they were naming it after Albert, they would have named it from his last name. That's what they usually do. Colombia, Columbus, Colombia, right? They usually use the last name of the person for the location, not the first name. All right, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, and we believed it. All right, we just ran with it. We didn't even question it. We didn't research it. We just believed it. All right, that's a big major point here. Major point here, scholars. What do you mean it was named after Vespucci? That's his last name. How come it's not named Vespuccia land or Vespuccia, right?
The Christian name of an ordinary man is never used to designate a country, but only that of an emperor, king, queen, or prince. Thus we say Straits of Magellan, Vancouver's Island, Tasmania, Van Diemen's Land, etc. While we have on the other hand Louisiana, Carolina, Georgia, Maryland, Filipinos, Victoria, etc. There is no exception to this rule. In the case of Cristoforo Colombo, for no one has thought of giving the name of Cristoforia to a country, and that of Cristoforo to a town, while at several epochs many names of Colombia, Colombia, Columbus, and Cologne have been given. Furthermore, in given to Vespucci the honor of naming the New World, Hilacomulus, using the Christian name contrary to all precedent, should have named it Albericia, or Amerrique, or Amerigonia, or Morigia, and not America. All right, so even if they were going to use his first name, it would still be different. It wouldn't be America. All right, so he's pointing out some very obvious things here. All right, the only way to explain this name reached with such difficulty is that Hilacomulus had previously heard pronounced the name Amerrique or Amerrique, Amerigo Vespucci, as the name is written by Cristoforo Colombo in his later dated Seville, 5 February 1505, died in 1512, long before the publication of Basli of the map in Mela cum commentatio Badiani, without knowing the dangerous glory that was preparing for him at Saint-Dié. As Humboldt expressed it, he believed until the end of his life that the New World was the coast of Asia, and died as he had lived, Piloto Mayor de Indias. All right. This belief in the Indies and the nearness to the river Ganges of their discovery prevented Colombo, all right, the river Ganges, river of Eden, right? So remember, because Colombo said when he reached the Orinoco, he's like, this river gotta be coming from the terrestrial paradise, the Garden of Eden. He thought it was the Ganges River, the Orinoco. All right, we gotta dig into that. And his contemporaries and his successors, from giving the countries they found a collective name. The idea originated with men in the interior of the continent of Europe, unacquainted practically with the navigation of those times, so feverish with the excitement of voyages, and who, repeating the sayings of the sailors without knowing very well what they were about, applied a name already known to those who had returned from the Indies. Remember, the Spanish and Portuguese, they were returning with this word Amaraca, the kingdom of Amaraca, Amerrique, Amaraca, Amerrique, Amaru. All right, the gold from Amaraca and Amerrique, right? But which was without any exact geographical position to an entire group of newly discovered lands, hardly then recognized as a whole. The mistake of the theoretical geographers of Saint-Dié, Strasbourg, and Basel could hardly have been corrected, unless by Colombo, who was no longer in this world, and then the discoveries of Cortés, Pizarro, and others came to change the direction of ideas as to the countries fabulously rich in gold. All right, so we know Pizarro, he knew about Amaracapana because he was there, and is there accounts of them invading Cax Amaracapana. All right, although Nicaragua was conquered in 1522 by Gil Gonzalez de Abida, a part of it remained wholly unknown, especially the region extending from the Atlantic to Lake Nicaragua, in which lies the Amerrique range. And the ignorance of this part of America has continued so long that the Californian emigration even has passed by its across the isthmus of Nicaragua without any knowledge of or interest in its existence. It may be said that the region of country lying between the Caribbean Sea and the dividing line for the waters that flow into Lake Nicaragua is to this day entirely unknown. The Carcas and Ramas Indians, especially the latter, oppose any entrance into their country, rejecting even the Indians who search for caoutchouc and who intrepidly pursue their work in countries as yet closed. The theory I have presented has some great advantages. In the first place, it takes nothing from the glory of Colombo, the name of the continent discovered by him being an indigenous name, which from designating a small and limited country has been extended to include the whole of the New World, through the mistake of a teacher, printer, and bookseller in a little town hidden among the Vosges Mountains. The accusations of plagiarism from which Alberico Vespucci has suffered are abolished, and there is no longer any reason to reproach him with having imposed or having suffered to be imposed his Christian name on a whole continent, inasmuch as this name was never Amerrique or Amerrique, but Alberico or Amerigo. The name Amerrique, although aboriginal, makes no confusion between a part and the whole, because the locality where it exists, as Lou did, is too small, obscure, and insignificant to give rise to any false or double meaning of the term. Finally, this name appears to be admirably chosen, extending as the Amerrique range does from the center of the extremities of the continent, radiating as it were, giving one hand to the north and one to the south, looking to the Antilles and to the Pacific, and being even the central point of the immense chain of mountains which extends from the Tierra del Fuego to the borders of Mackenzie River, and forms the backbone of the Western Hemisphere, in truth, the longest range of mountains upon our globe. It is well chosen also, as it probably was heard by the great Admiral Colombo on his fourth voyage, the illustrious discoverer of the New World, being the first European who heard and pronounced the word Amerrique or Amerrique. So we know that Columbus in the same voyage got to that part of South America where they were calling Amaraca, the settlement, Amaraca. He was there. So of course he knew this. By the time he reached the Amerrique Mountains, they, oh man, this word is everywhere. All right, not just in South America, but also in Central America with the Amerrique. Although we have no material certainly of this. Had the name belonged to a part of either extremity of the continent, it would hardly have been so readily accepted, but it grasped and took the New World as it were round the center, vaguely merely signifying a region very rich in gold mines, and it was employed and accepted without a thought of the pilot Alberico Vespucci. All right, so this word America, America, Amaraca, just like in South America, it was related to the lands of gold, right? The gold castles, remember the golden mountains, golden castles, the golden castle mountains. All right, so just like there in Central America, also Amerrique, Amaru, was a region signifying a region very rich in gold mines. And it was employed and accepted without a thought of the pilot Alberico Vespucci, without his influence. It was a long time after that discussions arose among learned geographers, and that the gross mistake of Hilacumulus was imposed upon the world as truth. In a word, the name Amerrique is American. All right, Amerrique is American. Amaracara is Amaraca, Amaraca, Amarucan. First voyage of Vespucci. From the beginning, we are confronted by the most contested of Vespucci's voyages, May 1497 to October 1498. Las Casas, Herrera, Charlevoix, Robertson, Tiraboshi, Munoz, Navarrete, and Washington Irving declare that the author of the Quator Navigaciones has forced his first voyage. All right, we got this before. All right, so basically Vespucci supposedly made two voyages, but on the first voyage it seems like it was fraudulent, it wasn't real, or he didn't really land on the firm land or South America. He only did that on the second voyage, right? And all these authors, historic authors, are confirming this, right? That he forced his first voyage. All right, Alexander the Humboldt. Now we read Alexander the Humble, what he said earlier, after calling his so-called first voyage pretendut, tries to show an alibi for Vespucci, who according to his opinion was then in Sevilla, and as San Lucard superintending the arming of a fleet for the third voyage of Christopher Columbus from April 1497 to 1498, and accordingly a material impossibility of having then accomplished his first voyage, which finally he calls problematic voyage of a contested date, admitting as proof that the date of May 10th or 20, 1497 is false. Right.
All right, so what we're pointing out in this part of the video right here is how there is confirmation, there's alibis stating that Vespucci wasn't even on that voyage that he was supposed to be on. when he first came to South America. All right, we just got a troll in, Mrs. Rogers. You just came here 2 3 hours late, and you came with your opinions. You're gonna get hidden. Don't even bother. Don't waste your time. All right, rewatch the video. We already proved it's an indigenous word. What are you talking about? You believe it was named after Albert?
Vespucci was never there before Columbus anyways. That's what they're trying to show you here. He made supposedly 2 voyages, and it seems like he only really went, the real one was the second one. All right, so just want to show you this map they have here. All right, it says map of the part of Nicaragua, so it shows Honduras right on top here. Then there's the border with Nicaragua, and you can see the word Amerrique, Indians, right? Amerriques right there, Amerriques. All right, you see the Atlantic, that's the Caribbean. Province of Chiamba, what Columbus was calling it, Chiamba, and that was like an Asian word or Asian town he was looking for. So the Amerrique range, you see it here, the gold mirrors or Indians, the Amerrique Indians. All right, look at this. Then you got down here Costa Rica, right?
However, unbeknownst to most, Vespucci was not named Amerigo until after the naming of the New World on Waldseemüller's map, as writer Jan R. Carew records. Alberigo Vespucci and I deliberately use his authentic Christian name, a Florentine dilettante and rascal, corrected Columbus's error. Vespucci declared that what Columbus had indeed stumbled on was a new world. Alberigo was undoubtedly a Florentine dilettante, and an extraordinarily clever one. Why would he otherwise have changed his Christian name after his voyage to the Americas? In other words, writes author Steve Quayle in his book True Legends, the New World wasn't named after the mapmaker, but rather the mapmaker Vespucci named himself after the New World, and his friends and historians then claimed that the Americas were named after him.
All right, Vespucci named himself after the New World, not the other way around. Get in the classroom, stop believing everything they told you. And don't be disrespectful coming here trolling. What are you, 12 years old?
One of those claims came from a Florentine bishop of the time who boasted in a letter, "And well may our new world be named America, since its discovery was due to our eminent countryman, Amerigo Vespucci." This singular line from the bishop's letter has been touted by historians as proof that America was named after Vespucci. But aside from changing his name to match Waldseemüller's map, there are many other compelling arguments against America being named after Amerigo Vespucci. For starters, even if they had intended to name the New World after him, it is highly unlikely that Waldseemüller and Ringman would have used Vespucci's first name instead of his last, as historian Alexander Del Mar notes.
Duh. You don't use people's first name to name countries. That's not the pattern.
Had there been any intention to name the continent after Vespucci, his surname would have been used, so that the result would have been something like Vespugia instead of America. In short, there seems to be very little room to doubt that the world has been misled through the complimentary notice of the Florentine bishop who claimed the New World was named after Vespucci.
The name Amerigo, or Amerigo, or Amerrique, which are the 3 variations in spelling known until 1507, would give in Latin Amerigonius, Amerigius, Amerigo, or even Amerrique, but not Americas, all right? Those names would not give Americas. Jean Basson, in making such a lapsus linguae, must have been influenced and entirely directed by the aboriginal name of Amerrique, which reached Europe 4 years before. So not only Amerrique was over in Europe, but also the word Amaraca, Amaraca, Amaru, Amaracapana, the land and country of Amaraca. So Amerrique and Amaraca were over there already, which reached Europe 4 years before and had time to spread as a name of a country and a tribe of Indians rich in gold. For in 1503, Colombo and his 150 seamen returned from Cariay and Carambaru on the Mosquito Coast. The proofreader, castigator Martin Hilacomulus Waldseemüller wrongly credited as the godfather of the New World. So Westmiller map is when we first see the word America, and was not a partisan of the name America, for he does not use it in any of his publications, no, not even on his map of the New World of the Ptolemy of 1513, called only Terra Nova, without the name America anywhere. The canon Gantier Lud, secretary of the Duke of Lorraine, did not use it in his Speculi Orbis Declaratio, etc., 1507, and Ringman, the Bosnian poet and professor of cosmography at St. Dia and afterwards at Basel, never quoted it. The only publication in which the name America is found after the proposition of the Bosnian Gymnasium in 1507 is in the Globus Mundi 1509 Strasbourg, without name of an author, but which is attributed to Jean Bassin, the translator of the Quatuor Navigaciones and the true godfather of the New World. And there it is found only once in the chapter De Descritio Terra, and that's where all the hijack came with the name, all right, from that map from Strasbourg, all right. Continuing, says the name America. The name was not accidentally created in the Vosges, as the humble thought, but the application to Vespucci of the indigenous name Amerrique was wrongly made there. The name is not a creation of the Bosnian Gymnasium, but only an erroneous assimilation to the Christian name of a man having some similarity with it. Against all the rules of priority, of discovery, and of naming a great country and using the Christian name of a piloto instead of his family name. After the mistake had been made, Vespucci took care to make it good by altering the orthography of his Christian name, changing his signature of 1492 Amerigo into Amerigo with 2 R's after 1507 and until his death. So this,
All right, so you guys understanding? This guy Albert literally changed his name to try to match the name of America. All right.
article, it's a lot of pages. I didn't read that part, but they explain how he started signing his name differently after 1507 because he saw that the discovery was the credit was being given to him, and also the name America, which he thought it was very convenient. So he started signing everything with 2 R's. All right, just like Amerrique, Amerigo, Amerrique, but it was actually before he was signing Amerigo, G. After 1507 until his death, all the discussions among Americanists come entirely from their ignorance of the existence of a tribe of Indians who called themselves the Amerriques, Tamarique, Amaru, Amarucan.
All right, guys, see this map? All right, showing the Florida, Southeast, and the natives, right, copper colored. And as you can see, Tamarique, right, Amerrique, Americans of Florida. Florida was the whole southeastern U.S. It wasn't just the state of Florida when the Spanish were in control there. They called the whole southeast La Florida, or a florid land. Many plants, many flowers, very florid. All right.
Amaru, Amarucan, Americans, all right? So it's because of the ignorance of the existence of this tribe of Indians and who inhabit the Sierra Amerrique and the country rich in gold between Lake Nicaragua and the Mosquito Coast. They were confronted by such difficulties that it is true chaos of dates, names, pretensions of all sorts, patriotic rivalries, and futile explanations unworthy of the characters and profound signs of some of their number. All right, so he's talking about how he was able to basically determine that that Americo Vespucci, his name had nothing to do with the word America, which he was able to find an indigenous tribe named Amerrique and the Amerrique Mountains, and that seems more like a possible origin of the name. And we know it is, we know it's connected to the Amaracapana, Amaru people, because it's all one kingdom, Central America and South America. The Amaru, Quetzalcoatl, Amaru, plum serpent, all right?
All right. So that's our presentation today. What else is there to say? Any questions? And I know you guys. I'm not really talking to you guys. I know you guys know. We're talking to the Pan-Africans and all these other supposed scholars who supposedly try to debate me on the names and think I'm just saying it's Tamari and Egypt. No, it's way bigger than that and deeper than that, man. You try to debunk me, you just made yourself look like a fool, man. What a fool and a clown, man. Man, I got hours and hours and hours of research. You understand? These are my old videos we went over today. A lot of information that nobody has really watched yet. All right. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and play this. All right. So thank you for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed this little quick refresh reminder. The more we repeat information, the more it gets more solid, and the more we can actually do more better research when we have a better understanding of things. We're gonna get into Quetzalcoatl possibly tomorrow. What is his relation to the Amaru? We got a little bit of today. Amaru, he is a plum serpent. The Amaru is the dragon, the Andes dragon, or the Andino dragon serpent, the plum serpent, Amaraca. All right. And I just want to say, just like all angels ain't good, all dragons ain't bad. Just like all angels ain't good, all dragons ain't bad. Dodge the hijack. They're demonizing things. But who's the true hijack? Huh? Is it the jackal, the dog, man's best friend, Anubis, Sirius, the dog star, Dogon? Who's the jackal? Who's the true jackal? All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. I mean, what else again is there to say? America is an indigenous word. They try to take that from you. They try to give it to a European. All right. And they ran with it for years. They taught us that in school. Teachers taught that in school falsely. Just like saying Columbus falsely discovered a place. How can you discover a place where you have people already living? How do you discover a place you have people already there living? Right? And how do you say, oh, he thought he was in India? That's why no, because India didn't even exist back in those times. Pay attention to this. India did not exist back then. It was called Hindustan. And just like if Vespucci was to name, he would have named it after his last name. If Columbus was really intending to name this place or the indigenous people after the people he thought he was encountering, he would have called them Hindus, Hindustanis, Hindus, not Indians. This is superior India. America was labeled superior India back in the day. There were three Indias, right? The three Indias, the land of Prester John, the three Indias of Prester John, the Grand Khan. Who did Marco Polo really go visit, and where did he really go? And we're talking about the farthest east. The farthest east. You know what happens when you keep going farther east from China? Where do you end up? I'll wait. Where do you end up if you keep going the farthest east from China? In America, right? America, right? The farthest east. The farthest India. I appreciate everybody that was tuned in. I just wanted to go over this information before I proceeded again. I got a lot of new good people that want to learn. They don't have maybe the time to go back. I want to make sure that this is very important information that we go over, because I'm going to go over certain things again. All right. So kill all that stuff with, are Europeans coming here or them bringing any people from another continent, and then that's you. No, you've been here. The Amaru, right? Tupac Amaru, that's an indigenous name. Amaru, Amaru Khan, Amerrique. Shout out to Drop Nation and Khan Drop for the Amerrique drop. That's even on a different level. Look how it all correlates. Who's Amerrique? Who's Tamarique? Theodori Amerrique. Who is that? What does he have to do with Toltexus or Toltecs? It's so much drop. All right, I'm gonna put you on to. Shout out to Drop Nation again for putting me onto the drop. We're gonna correlate all this. Amaruca, Amaraca. All right, thank you for again being here. Thank you for being here. One love, Miss Lua. Thank you. Yeah, Miss Lua. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate everybody who donated today. I appreciate it a lot. It helps me out a lot. Thank you very much. Much love and respect to everybody out there, all the indigenous people out there, and all the royals, all the royals and indigenous people out there. Let's do your genealogy. Know who you are, man. Know who you are. Awa. Much love. Pura vida. Shout out to all the real ones in the chat. Shout out to Flaws, Kiowa, Mike, Premier, everybody that's always here supporting. A lot of J9, thank you for all your help, always. Everybody that's here, been following me for a while, I know who you guys are. Blazer, Agent 007. Thanks for tuning in. This was fun. Appreciate all the new subscribers in the recent weeks. Appreciate you. If you have sent me a message there, I will answer that. I try to keep up with the messages. If you are there, just contact me. If you ever want to just, talk, just let me know if you're a patron. All right. Much love and respect. If you want to support the work, you can do it in my Patreon page. I share a lot of great books. I've actually shared all these books there. I did a Tamari drop, I think, once, and I shared all the I can do it again, in case I haven't. But I share a lot of good books and a lot of good things there, just for your support. If you guys are interested in helping me out, it's up to you. Only if you're willing and able. I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing either way. Don't worry about that, because it's not about the money bag. Nah, this ain't that type of podcast. This ain't that type of podcast. Wow.